Take that.
Where did you get that?
It's free. For life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D campaign number 2 of Black Ink and Blue Blood. When we last left off, the party decided that they were going to take a somewhat unorthodox path to get to the Temple of Restraint. Rather than continuing to follow the Killer's River, which they know leads straight to it, but takes them through a dense, foggy jungle in the canyon, which, from the sounds of it, is host to some pretty nasty predators, the party is taking a different approach. Instead, they are deciding to cut their way through the Fireflow
They were
River.
just going this way to wait for the guide to come back.
Also true.
I think this is the way we were getting there.
Yeah. Well, a few of the party members seem interested in taking this as like an actual route, so regardless, along the way, the party found an odd hut appearing to be owned by some dark elves that appears to have been a very impromptu and improvised medical facility in the assistance of a birth. Following a very tense and emotional confrontation, the party, for the most part, appears to actually be better off than when they started. Some tensions have been addressed, some issues answered, apologies made, and it seems like the party might actually be getting somewhere in terms of communicating and improving on issues. And so, as the party begins a tense night in the canyon, in the hopes that their guide will find them, I believe you guys have already done everything you wanted to do for the night, so
actually there was one thing. Yeah, there was something that I wanted to do. When we kind of like change posts, me and Gil.
Okay. Well, in that case, let me I'll say Gil, I still have your watch thing saved. You do not see anything during the night that alerts you. You see the occasional bit of movement in the canyon below, but none of it seems overtly hostile or directed, more just the ambient scuttlings of creatures. And Lucian, as you exchange watches with Gil, what would you like to do?
As Gil stands up, she is going to kind of like put her hands up like a, hey, stop for a second thing. Before you go to bed, I wanted to apologize to you. I realized what I said was it was wrong. And it was insensitive to everything that you are going through. And you don't deserve that. After everything that you've done for me, at least. But I also wanted to say, the song that you sang before I passed out was very beautiful. And you sang it very well.
He stands there for a few minutes, looking her over, not quite sure what to say. I appreciate the apology. I am still not happy with you. May not be for a while, but I do accept the apology. And I'm glad you liked the song.
It
was for Raccoon.
It actually reminded me of my parents. My mom, she never really had a lot of time for Lucifer and I, but when she did, she would come into our rooms and she would sing us a song when, when she could. If it wasn't her, it was our nurse, Winona, who, let me tell you, my mom could sing so much better than Winona could. I couldn't even tell you. Winona tried, let me say. But, you should know, nothing really compares to, your mom. And maybe sometime I could share my song to you. It was passed down from generation to generation with the Alefikir family. It's very important to our family. If you'd like, maybe sometime. I don't think I could sing it to you because I am not a good singer. Now Lucifer, that boy can sing. He can play the piano all day long. Our mom always asked him to play. And I think sometimes Lucifer would just be like, oh, I don't want to, but I'll do it because I love my mom, And like I said, mom didn't really have time for us. So when she did have the time and was like, hey, Lucifer, sit down for a minute and play my song, it was a nice moment.
I hear you.
What I guess I'm trying to say is that I understand where you are coming from, that the song that you sang was for Raccoon. Everything that we have discussed must have really made her distraught. And again, I am sorry for causing anybody any pain, but I miss my brother. I miss all of the times that we had together. I miss all of the fun. I used to have fun, I used to be the fun one. Until well, when your father comes to you when you're pretty young and says, hey, you're going to work now and you have to learn my trade because that's how it works. And you don't have time to be fun anymore. I miss being fun. I miss having fun. Sometimes I should tell you.
The biggest thing you need to realize this year is everything doesn't always revolve around you. Yes, you miss home, but so do the rest of us.
I know.
Or what resemblance of home we had.
I know. It's not fair for me to say, oh, I miss home, oh, I miss my brother. Like Kara was saying to me a couple days, like a while back ago when we were back in the city of Yarman, she was telling me, oh, I've got like thousands of siblings and, some of them are dead, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure most of them are alive. And I think that, just like the rest of us, she probably misses home. She's the furthest away from home besides you and me.
Sure.
And, poor Raccoon has lost her entire family. So, I understand what I said and have been saying is insensitive. And I promise I will try to be more sensitive to everybody, and that does include Zephyr.
Yeah, it's a start.
I was thinking, like I usually do before I go to sleep, because it's like a fast train in my brain and it never stops. I think that I've been a little hard on Zephyr, and I will apologize to him later when I have the chance. But he doesn't exactly make it easy on me to make me want to apologize to him. Because
you
he
don't
can
make
be
it any easier.
Like I said, all I can do is try.
Yes, for now, I'm going to try to get some sleep.
Yeah. Sometime I'll sing that song for you. Or maybe we can convince Lucifer to do it, because he's so much better than me at singing at least. But do not tell him I said that, because it will go straight to his head, and we do not want that.
Oh no, an elf here with a big head.
Careful where you tread.
Yeah. Night.
Sleep well.
All right.
And he'll go pass out.
All right. Lucian, you take up your watch, and the night passes.
But I do one more thing. You're gonna hate me.
What do you want to do?
I'm so sorry. And make sure everybody's asleep.
Okay. I'll say, is anyone like staying up, or is everyone asleep at this point?
It depends on how long she waits.
She waits for like a good hour and a half.
Yeah, he'll be asleep by then.
Okay. So, just somebody speak up. Let me know if you're going to be staying up. Otherwise, Lucian, from a cursory glance, everyone appears to be asleep.
Okay. I would like to... Hang on, let me bring up my D&D Beyond sheet. I'm gonna regret this. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna regret this. I know I am, but it's fine. Everything's fine. While I wait for D&D Beyond to load, so I can tick off the spell, I am going to send a message to Lucifer.
Okay.
She never learns.
This time in Celestial.
Okay. All right. Lucian learned nothing. Check.
No, just give it a minute.
Listen.
Listen, she didn't learn.
Listen.
All right. What would you like? What would you like to say?
Okay. I just wanted to tell you that for now, unless I speak with my friends first, I won't contact you first. And I love you. And that's it.
There's a few minutes delay, but you do eventually get a response returned in Celestial. Again, he sounds tired. You imagine that you've been these messages have been waking him up while he's trying to sleep, forcing him to respond before going back to bed.
Sorry.
Taking a while.
No, she's not.
But you do get a response.
Okay.
Don't you ever get tired of looking for a way out? Don't think I didn't see what you did. We're more alike than you think, you and I. I love you too. I'll see you soon.
What the fuck does that mean? Okay. No. I will cross my legs and bury my head in my hands and massage my temples and exercise restraint.
It's a very tenderly developed muscle.
Trust me, it triggers a migraine.
Also, hello, Kero. Nice to have you. All right.
Wow.
All right. So, also, Lucian, getting a little bit of feedback from your mic. If you can, yeah. All right. Lucian, your watch passes with no further incident, and you are not contacted again. The sun, or what passes for it down here, begins to rise. And as everyone slowly begins to groggily awaken, it is another day. As you guys gather up the bits of your camp, the fog in the canyon is even denser now, actually starting to kind of lap at the edges of the mesa and canyon faces. Although you figure, oh geez, sorry, you figure that's most likely simply, morning humidity and mist settling in and will likely clear over the course of the day. That being said, as you all begin to awaken from your night's rest, you all, of course, get a long rest, and you are now following the path of the Fireflow River. The canyon is incredibly densely misted, with some morning deer. What would you all like to do?
Excuse me, what?
Deer. Like how there's deer on grass whenever it rains.
Deer. Okay.
When do you see deer on grass when it rains?
No, not deer. Deer.
Yeah.
Like the drink
Deer.
Mountain Deer.
Do I see
Betsy,
the
you don't
guide
want to know
anywhere?
what I'm going to deer to you.
What are you gonna deer? And one more time, Lucian.
Do I see Liv anywhere?
Make a perception check.
Okay, I can do that thing that you said to do.
Can I help her as well?
Make a perception check with advantage. While Lucian's and Gil are scanning the area, what are the rest of you doing?
Let me see. See if I have anything.
I'll ask again in a moment. Feel free to figure out. In the meantime, Lucian, what'd you get, and then what did advantage give you?
Okay, so my first roll was a natural 20.
Okay.
And then my second roll was a natural 18.
Okay. The two of you, it's too foggy, even with your elven eyes, to see anything in the canyon. But you listen, and you don't hear anything unusual outside of the very odd, occasional scampering of creatures in the mist. The pathways of the canyon are not currently occupied. You do not see any sign of current or recent travel. But you turn your attention to the skies. And coming in from the direction you had come, you see finally out of the mist for the first time one of the swamp stalker dragons. Massive. And as it approaches, it's high in the air, but begins to almost orbit, circling the skies above your camp. And Lucian, you catch a glimpse of a familiar dark elf on its back.
Of course. I'll point it out to Gil, who is helping me perceive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I found him.
How high up is he?
Pretty high up. Like the other party members didn't even immediately see it coming. It's only because it's a relatively clear day and daylight that Lucian and you were even able to see him. However, the rest of you are alerted to his presence whenever you hear from the sky a familiar voice call down. Hello down there!
Please tell me he
Fire
just
my cannons at him. Boom, boom.
please tell me he just flies straight at us and slams into the mountainside.
Nice.
That'd be pretty funny.
Let's see.
Pretty fucking awesome. Well, man, good way to die, I'd say.
He only dies if the DM says he dies.
Well,
Oh no, like, things can happen outside of my control.
Hello there.
But
I mean,
for the time
only
being,
because you allow it. At the end of the day, you're the DM. Whatever you say goes.
Well, yes, but I don't like to exert complete, because that's how you get railroads. All right. The massive swamp stalker dragon. Now that you're seeing it out of the mist, you're able to take in just the enormity of the scale of these things. Begins to gradually descend closer. Flapping its wings somewhat clumsily as Liv coaxes it closer and closer to the cliffside. Once its massive, long, tree-like legs find purchase on the cliffside, Liv gives you all a friendly wave, and in one swift motion, pulls his curved blade free and slices the dragon's neck. It gives a that echoes through the canyon before beginning to collapse and fall limp as blood spurts from its neck, and he gracefully slides down its wing and skips off of the leather as it stumbles back and falls into the misty canyon below.
What?
alright.
Tempo.
Then you're half
Liv
that
gives-
sweetie.
Caleb was going to be like, you would probably hurt the pride of a lot of those guards back in that town.
Oh, probably, but that's assuming I was allowed in there to begin with.
They could leave.
I've missed you, Dragon 2.
I'll bring up my list of names.
I know, I got mine too.
Everyone's keeping careful track. He looks around at all of you with a wide smile as Gil and Lucian, you both swear you can hear some startled squawks of the creature in the canyon, along with some kind of unsettling rattles and hisses.
Oh. Did you do that, or?
What?
What is that noise?
He kind of looks a little confused, but then as he peeks his head over the side. He gives a kind of understanding nod and smiles to you. Oh, no. Oh, nothing to do with that. That's just the Death Dozen dragons. It's breeding season, and they keep their nests here in the canyon.
Wait. A what dragon?
Death Dozen.
So they bring a death by a dozen.
That's right, Dragon 2. You're perceptive. They're little, but there's a lot of them. Traveling packs. Very smart, too. I've heard some of them can even open doors.
I'm gonna wrestle him.
That is weird.
Apparently they didn't take an interest in us.
Nah, these paths here are trade routes. They're smart, and that means they're smart enough not to harass traders going straight to the capital. That's how their nests get destroyed by Inquisitors, you see. Now, they know if they just wait down there in the canyon, especially because this ain't the hunting grounds, this is just where they come to breed, nest. They don't think you're a threat to their nest as long as you stay up here on the path. If you try to go through the canyon, well, be a different story, Dragon 2.
So how do you propose that we get to the Temple of Restraint?
Well, see, that's the thing, Mage. Had gone all the way there looking for you, because I told you guys to go on ahead of me, but I couldn't find you. And I thought, oh, maybe the Death Dozen dragons just ate them. So then I was going to go home. But then I thought, well, no. Let's just do one last check of the surrounding area. And I'm glad I did, because you guys are all the way up here for some reason. Why are you up here?
Well, we wanted to get out of the fog, so we could.
And we were planning on waiting for you to catch up.
Also, I look to Zephyr and Neon, and she gives a very, very, very resigned sigh. I guess Mage is not that bad of a code name.
I like it. Short, succinct, and to the point. And see, that's how we know that your friends are smart.
She kind of gives a kind of nod.
Right. So, from the looks of it, he does a quick head count. None of you are currently being eaten, which is fantastic. So, he clasps his hands together with a
preferable.
He clasps his hand with a wide smile. We still going to the temple, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to go there on foot because some idiot slayed my dragon.
Didn't you slay your dragon?
Yeah.
Well, of course I had to slay a dragon too. It was going to eat me if I didn't.
The expression on Lucian's face is just her lips.
So why are you complaining that it was dead whenever you had to kill it?
Well, I had to kill it, yeah, but I wish I'd just known who did it. He's sneaky, always after me.
I would like to pipe up out of my mech. You know, I felt an immense amount of guilt whenever we had to leave you behind, whenever you got dragged away.
Thanks, it happened once in a dream.
Well, I'd like to say I no longer feel any guilt, and I kind of wish I'd eaten you.
What's that?
Oh, no reason.
Noted.
He's just like that sometimes.
No,
That's just how it be sometimes.
I wanted to say because it happened in a dream, but that's out of Lucian's character, so I'll say it.
Liv gives a smile and well, if everyone's gotten some shut-eye, nobody's missing any livers or kidneys, I think it's all time we head out.
Sure, fine.
Oh,
whatever.
let's go.
All right, let's go.
What's that?
What can you tell us about this temple that we're going to? What should we prepare for?
Well, it's been a long time since I've been inside, and I didn't exactly get a fantastic look at it while my buddies and I were burning it down. So, not much I can tell you. I do know they grow flowers.
Wait, rewind there. Because
Yes.
we brought you because you said that you did know the trap
Up,
and like,
Mage. I said I knew where they were. I did not say that I knew exactly what was inside. Nobody does. Because, as I understand it, at least from what Been There Done That's told me, you don't know what's inside either, but you're very eager to find out.
Well, that's one of
People who know
you.
what's inside, they're probably dead now.
Yeah, most likely.
A good idea. What do you know if there's any like burials of the Sarens around here? Maybe we could ask.
I wouldn't count on it.
Well, if we see a dead body, I can
I
ask.
guess we're just going to have to use an educated guess. What was it called again? The Temple of...
Restraint.
Temple of Restraint.
It is probably going to... If I had to guess, it is probably going to try and... is going to have something that might be tempting, and we have to show restraint.
Yeah, not a,
Well, that means
not a bad
probably
guess.
for all of us. So books for me, money for Gil and Zephyr. What do you want, Caro? What is something
Even
that you
whatever
would
is in it will probably be booby-trapped, so that if you don't show restraint, you die.
Right, I'm saying, like, we know it's books for me, money for Zephyr and Gil. Like, what does Caleb want? What does... I guess it would be alcohol maybe for Neon, because, like, of his whole thing. Maybe they have, like, Star Blast or something. What about you, Caro? What do you
Oh
want? Like, what would you have to, like, restrain yourself to not take? An animal?
Carol does not take animals.
But
Not
what
unless
if
they
I-
want to come with me.
It's like, since I'm taking animals
Because
that looks
two.
at pet, that looks at his 2 pets.
3 pets if you count the ranger companion.
Yeah.
Yes. She took the spider, but she doesn't usually take
yeah.
animals.
Like, I forgot about the spider.
Yeah, like, what if it's like, oh no, I need somebody to, like, you know, watch me because I am little. I don't know.
If you're going
Given-
that far, then it could be.
Even I will say that,
helping
you know how these... I'm sure you know how these religious types are. There's probably some kind of hallucinogenic involved.
Well, only one way to find out. Although, if it's any consolation, like I said, I've been inside. I've just not been super deep in, and assuming you guys really believe there's something in there, and you're not just crazy, then there's not a whole lot to it, actually. As far as
There
me
is
and my...
something that you need to know, Liv.
What's that?
We are crazy.
Stands to
Speak for
reason.
yourself.
Right. Oh, before I forget,
Maybe we'll
two
find our
important
sanity.
questions. 2 important questions. One, when we're out in the field, it's not Liv, it's Dragon 1.
Oh, sorry.
Second. You said a lot of names just a minute ago, and I have no idea who you're talking about.
I didn't use the code name.
Okay. But keep in mind, I will reiterate, but with the code names.
Well, he never said.
Except for Carol. I'll point to Carol and I'll be like,
raccoons. He
this
never
one.
said
I don't
those
know what
things.
I don't know what this one would want.
Right.
What is her name?
He looks to you, and he gives you a look almost like he's like, are you serious? And then he gestures to Caro like it's the most obvious thing in the world, and currently doing that.
Oh!
And there's also
Okay, that's a long name.
I mean, there's
I wrote it down. It's in the book.
There's been there, done that, and then there's happened once in a dream.
Yeah, so far the names you've heard is been there, done that. It happened once in a dream. If I had to pick a guy, currently doing that, Dragon 1, Dragon 2, and Mage.
Yeah, so there's only one more name.
I didn't hear what the original name was. I'm still mad about that.
You need to figure out. You only have one more name to figure out.
And who's that?
Considering their
Raccoon.
My name is
involvement in
cool.
everything.
Raccoon's still with us.
What?
Raccoon's still with us. That
Oh, yeah,
Raccoon.
out of
Mhm.
character.
And then there's Raccoon. What about Raccoon? And I'll look at Raccoon, who's probably asleep.
Oh, goblin.
Yeah. God damn it.
I was hoping it'd be goblin.
Goblins.
Got it.
All right. You up to speed on your code names, mage?
Yes, Dragon 1.
That's better. All right. Let's go. If we're lucky, then less than half of us will get eaten on the way.
Okay.
Don't worry, Dragon 1. I'll trip you if we have to.
That's the
Fingers
spirit.
crossed.
Hey, you did say that a lot of us would get eaten whenever we fought those flying dragons, but then no one got eaten, so
Well,
maybe a little more optimism.
by their beak.
As
And
the
on-
saying goes, go. You don't have to run faster than the monster, just faster than your friends.
That's the ticket. And in fairness, Dragon 2, I did get eaten, but I lived.
You what?
Oh yeah.
And it opens. Obviously.
I guess that depends on your definition of eaten. If you just mean as in being like actually swallowed, or if you mean actually digested. Because if you use your basis on digestion, then you weren't eating.
As far as you know.
I am fairly certain you have not been digested.
Fairly, but not completely.
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. Is he covered in that digestive fluid?
Make a perception check?
Medicine check, because like Lucian would know what that fucking.
Kevin,
looks
wouldn't
like.
that be more of a? I think wouldn't it be more health because it has to do with a bodily thing.
Yeah, I was debating, but I'm just
Or
going to call this one
medicine.
perception.
Of course, because Lucian's good at medicine. Well, she's good at perception, so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was going to say, like...
21.
He is not covered in digestive fluids, although his clothes are even more ragged and filthy and soaking wet, and you do notice his left leg bleeding heavily.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh shit.
like how nobody noticed that until now.
Well, to be fair, he's wearing dark clothes that are already in tatters and soaking
Mhm.
wet.
Dragon 1, do you need healing?
Oh, no, I'm alright.
Are you sure? Because I can heal you, no problem.
Nah, don't worry about it. Worst case scenario, it lures the death dozen dragons to me, and then you guys can run.
I mean, I'd rather keep you alive, and it really won't use a whole lot of energy.
He kind of raises an eyebrow a bit at you, but if you insist.
I do. I will do healing wounds at. How bad does it look?
It looks a little old, and it looks like, at a glance, it appears like he did some like impromptu stitch work on himself.
Okay.
So it doesn't look good, but it does look.
That actually made my stomach turn.
Yeah. So it doesn't look good, but it does look like the wound has mostly healed at this point. But it does look like it was pretty bad, and the impromptu stitch work is only holding his leg together.
Okay. I will do one or two. Well, if D&D Beyond would decision if D&D Beyond would stop being mean to me. I'll do a first level spell, because I don't know what it's looking like. I don't what do I roll for that? 'Cause
It's 1d8.
You need to
plus your
tell
spell
Jared
casting.
to put another potato on the modem.
fuck me.
It's 1d8 plus your
D8 out.
spellcasting ability modifier. So
Nobody heard what I said.
yeah,
I heard what you
Hang
said.
on.
I just didn't comment on it.
so it'd be 1d8 plus 4.
I had to plug in a second
Okay.
potato.
Well, now D&D Beyond is working for me, so hang on just one hot second.
Hot second, how long is a hot second? If it's a normal second, then you're way past time.
A hot second is just however long it needs to be.
Yeah.
There are unfortunately no potato emojis.
Potato emojis. Gonna get a portal emoji.
Potato power.
Are you doing this because I said you were being good? Fine, you're bad.
Maybe put on a
Ay,
lemon
ay,
for
ay.
some turbocharge.
Look at my sheet and tell me what I need to roll.
I mean, if you're doing first level, it is a 1d8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier, which is 4.
Ooh, I rolled really well. So that's a 5. So that's
plus 4.
9.
Yeah. Wait, might be plus 7.
So 12.
All right. Okay, noted. To your credit, the wound does look a lot less gnarled, and he kind of experimentally puts weight on the leg, curiously, almost not quite sure what to make of it, but kind of looks to you with kind of a shocked expression, but kind of after a moment gives a slow nod. Thanks, mage.
Like
Not
he's
the
never
problem,
been healed
Dragon
before.
Dragon 1.
What's that, mage?
I know what you were originally going to call me.
Well, gotta be honest with you, I was still kind of drafting it up at the time, so I was banding a few different ideas. Nothing important now, obviously, but he gestures to Zephyr. Been there, done that. Was kind enough to inform me that you guys already had a codename system. So I figured I would just skip you and make ones for everyone else.
Ow. You really don't like... I thought you maybe liked me or something.
It's not a matter of liking or not liking you. Did I explain to you why I do code names?
No, I don't...
Because we don't live long enough.
There you go.
But Lucian would.
Yeah, he nods to Gil when he pipes up.
Does that mean that if we live a certain amount of time, you'll actually use our names?
I'll consider it. You guys seem to like to live dangerously. I need to see if you're going to be able to keep that up for an extended period of time.
Yeah, understandable.
That's the ticket. Well, come on. And with that, does anyone have anything else they'd like? So does anyone just have anything they'd like to do during this next bit of travel?
Caleb is going to do what he's always been doing. I'm sitting on the cart.
All right.
Actually, yes. I would like to speak with Caro if she's available.
Okay. I'll say real quick before you start. Neon and Caro, do the two of you have anything you'd like to do?
Nah.
In this time.
Nah.
No, I'm still just on top of my...
You're alive!
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
yeah, what were we saying, sorry?
Funny.
Yeah, you're good. Don't worry.
Oh, me?
Yeah. I was just like, what
Oh,
were you
yeah,
saying?
I'm just sitting on top of Morgan, as always.
Okay. Zephyr, do you have anything specific you'd like to be doing?
I mean, he'd probably just play with his coin. His little coin that lights up.
Okay, noted. All right, Gil, do you have anything or no?
I'm working on trying to clean those 3 levers.
All right. Are you going to be traveling via Ruby Basket again?
Is she fit for flying?
Make a medicine check.
I like how he asked, but he didn't know if they could actually do it.
Let's see.
Well, yeah, I gotta keep track of those internal injuries somehow.
That is a 19.
It looks like it probably would be best if she didn't, but she probably could if you needed to.
I will let her keep resting.
Okay. All right. So, you guys taking your various loot from the improvised Argosian hospital and making your way back down the canyon path. Lucian, you wanted to approach Caro with something? Caro's just sitting astride Morgan, so you can easily basically stage yell, and Caro will be able to comfortably hear you. So, what would you like to say?
Caro,
Yes.
you didn't answer me before.
Kara looks at you blankly.
I know it's, maybe you just didn't hear me, or I don't know. We're going to a temple where we're going to probably be tempted with a lot of things. What do you think that you will be tempted with?
I do not know.
Well, if you had to guess.
I had to guess. I don't know. I'm pretty happy traveling with my friends.
What if like they have an illusion of like your other party?
But my other party is dead.
Well, my parents are dead, but they might have an illusion of my parents. That doesn't make me not want to run into my mom's arms and feel her hug me again, because I would 100% love that. But I know that they are dead.
Did Caleb hear this conversation?
Yeah, you're in the cart.
Caleb is also going to add. And plus, like I said, these kinds of things, they tend to have hallucinogenics. You might not be in your right mind.
So maybe we have to like restrain each other.
Maybe.
But what do you think, Kara? What will you be tempted with?
Weird question to ask somebody.
I mean, for what we're about to get into, it's understandable.
Yeah, I was
you keep saying it.
gonna say not an unfair one given the context.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't seem to know.
Maybe tempted with home.
Maybe a what?
Maybe home.
Your parents or...
She said home. You know where she's from?
Yeah, like, what is home to you? Like your parents, your house?
It was my swamp with all of my family.
I think a lot of us are going to be tempted with home.
Probably, but I'm not home, and I won't be until I go back. And that's okay.
Well, to Caleb's observation, maybe we won't be in our right
Until I
mind.
am there.
Carol does not understand.
Whatever it is, I think we're going to have to work together.
Yes, it's how we get through most things.
Well, notice a lot of us do not work well with each other.
Until we get into a fight, then we work together.
Well, I think this is different because unless it's like Gil who likes to fight, I don't think that that's going to happen.
Maybe not, but We can work hard to make ourselves better.
I guess. That's all.
Okay.
Kara gives you a froggy smile and turns back.
With that, as you guys continue your trek, you gradually reach the outskirts of the canyon area you had crossed, and begin to lower back down. The mist begins to re-thicken, and with assistance from Liv or Dragon One, you begin to cross the kind of dirty, gravelly area that you had been crossing before. And Kero, you feel like you probably could navigate this area if you could just see, but you can't. So you guys, it's not as thick as it was in the Stalker Forest, but it's still not doing you any favors as you work your way over the craggy dirt hills and cliffs. Occasionally, you all get a little bit of a startle, especially those in the cart, when you see something looming over you in the fog, only to see that it's simply like a crag or a bit of rock. But Keto, being very intuitive and observant, you can hear sounds in the fog around you. This kind of low, guttural rattle. And Caleb, your ears kind of perk up and you almost instinctively turn as you can hear the sound of rocks being disrupted from something walking.
Caleb is going to be like, I think there might be something there.
Yeah,
There is, yes. I can hear them.
that'll be the Death Dozens. They're following us.
Is there anything they're particularly scared of?
Not much. These things aren't like regular animals. See, the swamp stalkers, I'd say, are probably one of the most dangerous things on this island outside of the beasts. But that's just because they're big, and the way they hunt tricks people. But the Death Dozens, I'd say next to the swamp stalkers, are probably the next on the list. Again, behind the beast. They're smart. They're strategic. See, right now what they're doing is they have us surrounded. We just don't know it yet. And they know we know, so they're not going to attack just yet. They're waiting to see if we let our guard down. They want to see who's the weak link, see who's going to be easy to pick off and drag away. See, here's what's going to happen, right? We're not going to be able to get through this jungle in one night. It can't be done. But that means we're going to have to set up camp at some point, unless you guys want to take your chances wandering blindly through the dark. And when that happens, maybe you hear a noise. You hear something out in the trees. And you think, oh, got to make sure my friends are safe. Should probably go check that out. They don't find you the next morning. At best, they hear your screams. They go looking for you. And then they go missing next. One by one by one, you all get picked off until there's nothing left but bones.
So what I'm
smart.
hearing from you is that we shouldn't go off by ourselves.
Never. Not in this jungle. You want to know how many of these things run in the packs?
A couple of hundred of them?
They don't need that many, Dragon 2. It's in the name. Death Dozen.
12?
Indeed.
Is it always 12? Do they just like eventually kick a member out if a new one is born?
12's just for their hunting parties. From what I've heard, although I've never seen it myself, people say there's nests deep in the canyon, back where you guys were. They say if you go deep enough in the fog, you find their nesting grounds, where maybe you're right, Dragon 2, maybe there is hundreds of them. Nobody knows. It's hard to track these things. They're smart, like I said. Anytime someone manages to stick them with something that we could follow them, they're smart enough to pull it out. At best, they've used it to lure Inquisitors into traps in the past, so we decided to just leave them alone, as long as they left us alone.
Well, if they mess with us, I'll make sure to lower their numbers at least a half a dozen.
Good call if I had to pick a guy. And he kind of pauses for a moment and turns, and more reiterating what has been said, but emphasizing the importance. Do not wander off.
I think that
Is
tonight
there-
when we do our watches, there should be 2 people watching instead of just 1.
Aye. Oh, and, before, where are my manners? Dragon 2, you had something?
What is their like attack strategy? Is there like any parts they particularly aim for?
See, that's what I love about you, Dragon 2. You and me on the same wavelength, you and I. Because I was just about to get to that. That's the fun part. And besides, if it's going to be nothing but trees and fog for a while, might as well tell some stories, eh? See, that's the fun part. You'll tell that it's a Death Dozen dragon because they got the toe. And he hops on one leg to hold up one of his tattered boots and kind of knocks his blade against where his big toe would be in the boot. It's curved like a sickle. And that's how they get you. See, they're small, and everyone thinks, they're little. Can't be a threat to me. But that's when they jump you. And he draws his blade across the areas he's describing. If they get you from the front, they're going to go for the guts. Try and spill you right then and there. If they get you on your back, they're going to go for the throat. And Mage has the right idea. I'd recommend having 2 people on watch if that's not what you're already doing. Because, see, that's the fun thing. Like I said, these guys are smart. They'll try and draw your attention to one. And then he draws his hands together and claps, startling all of you. That's when they get you. The other 2 that you didn't know were there from the sides. So, rule of thumb. If you think you figured out where they are, you're wrong. Check where you've already looked. Until you're sure that you've got all 12, never assume you know where they are.
Fair enough.
Do you think that they would follow us into the temple?
I don't know. If they haven't gone in there already, I doubt it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, you didn't hear what Caleb said?
Oh, yeah, it must not have picked up. Sorry. Go ahead.
He said, are they afraid of fire? If we lit something on fire, would that scare them off for a bit?
Not sure, to be honest. Although, he gestures to the fog. Gonna be a bit tricky getting a fire going in this, but yeah, you can always try it, but not making any promises.
I have sacred fire.
He kind of like tilts his head and just that's the thing I never understood about you you know, the clerical types. I always ask people in the Inquisition, they can never give me a straight answer. Why do they call it sacred flame when it's not fire?
I think it's because maybe it's would I actually know the answer to this, or
Yeah, no, I'll say, because it's like a colloquialism. It's a purifying thing, which is usually associated with fire, but in truth, the spell is a beam of light, not fire.
Mhm. Okay, so Lucian will say, well, although it is like a beam of light, you know, it's more of the fact that it's like cleansing something. It's like radiant. So I suppose it's called sacred flame is because the sacredness of the ray is cleansing like a fire, because fires are very like cleansing.
Suppose that stands to reason.
They're like trees around us.
Not yet, although from what Liv has said, there should be shortly.
Caleb,
Yes?
could we, and she kind of like stares at him and like raises her eyebrows, avoid fire, please?
It's on.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, your mic got a little.
I think it wasn't plugged in good.
Yeah, there you go. You're good.
Because
now.
the microphone part, like, it plugs into the headset.
Yeah, no, you sound
I
okay.
think it came a little bit
No,
loose.
yeah, we just couldn't hear you before. So.
Caleb was saying, well, it's only if, like, we get completely surrounded, then, depends on how well these trees can go up in flame.
I would just, like to avoid fire altogether, if we could.
I know.
Okay.
That's why it's not. That's why I'm not. That's why my plan isn't just to simply set the forest on fire.
I didn't think that was your plan.
And like some people we know, and I look at Gil.
I haven't said anything on
If
fire
it's looking
yet.
pretty dire and we're going to have to try something like that, I will warn you.
I appreciate that, Caleb. It really, it might help, but we'll see.
Besides,
would
Jason,
that scare them away if the whole forest was on
y'all
fire?
nearly started on fire to me.
Well, that likely is anything. Yeah, probably would. But I don't imagine that setting a good chunk of the island ablaze is high on you guys' priority list. Not that I think you would be unwilling, but more where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's fire, there's any kind of waves his hands vaguely. You guys haven't told me what it is you are, so I'm just assuming you're not supposed to be here, because, I mean, you're getting help from me, right? So I'm going to assume you're not supposed to be here, and that you probably want to avoid doing something that's going to draw attention to yourselves.
Yeah, that's why it's not the first thing I'm going to do. That's probably the plan. I don't know, I'd say probably plan M.
Plan F for fire.
Well, no, there's another plan that's already plan F.
Yeah. A couple steps ahead of me on the alphabet there, Dragon 2. I'll respect that. As you guys are talking, the fog around you begins to gradually thin. Lucy, a little bit of mic feedback again. Try to.
Oh, sorry.
The fog around you begins to thin. Continuing to follow the path of Killer's River now. The fog begins to lift, and unlike the canyon, it actually does not stagnate near your feet as it had. It actually simply begins to thin before parting completely. The area you had been standing on appears to be the craggy, dirty bottom side of the nearby mountain. And stretching out to the horizon ahead of you, packed into this tight little valley, is a dense looking jungle. Trees are fighting for every inch of space. The canopy is darkening the ground level, and the foliage you can make out on the ground is also clearly fighting for what little space and sunlight they can get. Space is rather tight. You're honestly surprised that something lives here, but given that Liv said that this is not where they live and breed, this is just where they hunt, you can actually kind of understand it, because while plant life here is flourishing, it's a struggle, and you imagine even a creature used to this terrain would struggle a bit to get through it. You can already, as you start to go downhill from the mountainside, make out foliage that Zephyr almost as tall as you, and looks just as thick, as up to Zephyr's head and as thick as Gil's chest. It's gonna be a trek, to say the least.
Well, let's go.
Liv twirls their blade, and I'll see what I can do about the plants. And begins to hack and cut away at some of the foliage as you guys go. And from the look you got on the mountainside that gave you an elevated view, you got a long way to go.
Is there something we should look out for with these plants? Because it seems like everything around here can kill you.
Oh, no. Plants are actually mostly harmless. And the ones that aren't, it's usually pretty obvious. You guys are smart. You can see a trap coming. But I don't think any of them grow around these. At least not in this here valley. No. He kind of knocks his blade against the trees. This place used to be a lot more lived in, but whenever we came through, we had to borrow some of the native life, make it home for ourselves too, you know. So this place is actually a lot safer than it used to be.
It used to be crawling with things that wanted to claw your face off.
Yeah. But once we took care of business, the plants just kind of overgrew, and even the dragons don't want nothing to do with this place anymore. Like I said, the Death Dozens only come in here to hunt. It's not where they live, not where they breed. But it's where the plants are.
Here, what are they hunting?
And where there's plants, there's prey. He gives a bit of a smirk and just, besides us, anything that makes it through Stalker Forest, and he points, now that you're out of the fog, you guys can see your surroundings a little bit better. And you hadn't paid it too much mind while you were going through the canyon, but in the distance where he's pointing, you all can see a tall mountain peak. You actually recognize this as being the same mountain peak you could see from the desert. And Caleb, you may remember this one being described as the one that, from your perspective, went up into the clouds and kept going. And you're a little bit closer to that peak now. And you can see in the distance some dragons flying around said peak. Almost like distant dots on the horizon, flocking and flittering about the peak of the mountain. Occasionally, those fellas will come down here to look for food in the river or just stop for a rest, and he draws his hands together and claps again.
You think it'd be pretty hard for them to catch something that can just, fly at the first sign of trouble?
Well, they have to see a sign of trouble to fly away, don't they?
And if they clip the wings, well, they can't fly.
So, yeah.
There's no things that'll come through here because they know the little things are here to possibly eat?
Not that I know of. For anything to make it this far across the island, they'd have to make it through the Stalkers first. So, I imagine plenty have before, but he gives a bit of a shrug. If they've done it, they've certainly not lived to tell about it.
The Stalkers have never stretched this far?
Nah. They're ambush predators, remember? No need for them to expand their territory. Just stay where they are, wait for food to come to them. From what I've seen, the Stalkers even prey on the Death Dozens if they get a little too far outside the canyon. It's part of the reason they stay here. Nowhere else for them to go. Try to get across the forest, Stalkers pick them off. Try to branch out to the coast, the Argosians won't like the intrusion and chase them back to their caves. So all they can do is breed in the canyon, wait for food to come into the jungle, and take what they can get.
What about that one that you said was following you?
That's the beast. That thing can hunt wherever it wants.
The
Or even the
the dozen things won't like interfere with it, or it doesn't like the beast doesn't seem bothered by them, or
I once saw the beast pick off an entire pack by itself.
oh.
Do the packs of 12 ever work together to take down something bigger?
I doubt they wouldn't. Doubt they'd be opposed to it. As far as I know, they don't fight with each other, especially when there's so limited space to begin with. But again, nobody's ever seen them close up. Not exactly had the chance to study them whenever they pick off anyone that gets too close. Nobody's even seen the nest, let alone what their social habits are like.
No one's ever tried bringing them to them, like putting them in the cages to observe them.
We tried that. Problem is, like I said, they're smart. They call for help.
But you also said that they generally don't mess with the like trade routes, so I assume they also wouldn't mess with the city.
Nah, as far as I know, it's been a while, granted, but at least while I was there, we never had any death dozen attacks in the city, only on the trails, and that stopped after we started fighting back.
So if you had it near the city, then they could call for help all they want. The others wouldn't come.
Well, they're not going to come into the city looking for food, but they might come into the city if it's to rescue one of their own.
But you also have a lot of guards.
Yeah, they have a lot of dragons. Besides, I asked her about it once, but Cousin Ergos always said that she wasn't interested in fiddling around with the dragons. She just wanted them to leave her alone, and she'd leave them alone in turn. At least, that's what she told me.
Well, then why did she like endorse, smuggling them? That's why like you got banned, right? Because like she was smuggling them in.
Well, she wasn't smuggling them in. She just made it more expensive than it was worth to keep them. And that discourages people from having them in the cities. And that means all that's left is the wild ones. And she had people on that, making sure that the wild populations were going down.
Well, does she have any of her own?
Nah. She, like I said, she never had an interest in the things. At least not when I knew her. Honestly, thought they were kind of creepy. Unnatural. It's weird, right? Dragons that don't breathe fire. Most of them don't even fly.
That is strange, yes.
Yeah, so she thought they were
Maybe they're
little,
not really
little
dragons.
freaks. And, well, I wonder what other word you'd use for it. Big, scaly,
like
mostly.
other kinds of reptiles.
Make a nature check.
He's not very good at nature, so there's a good probability that he doesn't.
Branching off of that, has Lucian maybe heard, read anything relevant to that?
You also make me a nature check.
Okay, it's gonna be a 17 in total.
Okay, 17 nature, and Lucian, your nature?
Oh my god. You're not gonna believe me. Natural 20.
Natural 20? Alright.
Yeah.
So Caleb, you would know that there's many other types of reptiles outside of dragons, of course, snakes, lizards. However, you would also know that most reptiles have a draconic equivalent, more or less. For instance, there are dragons that lack limbs entirely, so they would resemble snakes. And there are dragons that have the lizard body plan and no wings at all. So you would know that there are non-draconic reptiles, but as far as you know, there is a dragon equivalent for pretty much every reptile. At least that you know of. But I will say that it was something that you weren't exactly an expert on, never exactly got exposed to paleontology, but I will say that you are at least vaguely familiar with the concept of creatures that don't exactly fit modern understanding of nature. Your parents occasionally told you stories of massive beasts with abilities and traits that were completely foreign to modern life that supposedly once existed, but have not been seen in the modern age. Outside of, at most, rumored sightings on isolated islands or deep underground. And there were many different names for them, each species typically having their own, but the kind of colloquial term you heard your parents used to describe them, although you're not sure what the word means, was dinosaur.
Caleb was going to be like, well, there have been reptiles that aren't dragons.
Well, yeah, but I mean, not exactly small, but, look like dragons to me. Teeth, claws. Sure, they got feathers, but some dragons have feathers.
And I don't. And well, I mean, if the non-dragon reptiles exist, nothing says that, especially in an isolated area like this, that they couldn't become really big.
Suppose you're right. Although, if nothing else, Eve gives a bit of a shrug. That's just what the Saurians were calling them when we got down here, and it kind of got passed along. We didn't exactly have a word for it ourselves, so we just called it what they'd been calling it. And Lucian, what was your question again? Just to make sure I answered appropriately.
I kind of wanted to know if either like my father, maybe my mother, maybe my wet nurse, somebody like, have I ever heard of these quote unquote dinosaurs, or like, do I know anything about it?
Yeah, I will say that you heard the same kind of rumors that Caleb heard growing up. Whispers of massive bones of creatures that aren't alive anymore found underground if you know where to look. You've also heard rumors of still living ones. You, again, usually found underground or on isolated islands far out in the ocean. Even with a natural 20, you don't really get too much extra. I will say, interestingly, your family occasionally dipped into the research. Your father was interested to see if a non-magical creature could be brought to life with magic. And while the experiments never went anywhere, a topic of research had come up among the isolated scientists who study the topic. That the flying ones and the ones that swim are not considered dinosaurs. They are considered their own species, related but distinctive.
Okay,
but that's the only additional information you have that Caleb doesn't.
Based on those experimentations, where was my father able to resurrect them?
No, like I said, it never went anywhere. Your father never actually got to the testing it phase, mostly because you only got snippets of it because he wasn't just sitting there explaining his research.
Of course.
To you, especially when it wasn't. It was more of an offhanded test. But I will say, from what you've overheard and read, he abandoned the research because he was concerned that introducing magic to an inherently non-magical creature was not useful. It wouldn't concern modern society at all. And even if it worked, the potential side effects from what he said could be catastrophic. After all, magic, or an overexposure to it, is known to induce harsh mutations, and that's for biology that's adapted to it. And if it was possible to bring these creatures back to life with magic, it's very likely that the mutations they'd suffer would make them very dangerous.
Got it. With that knowledge, I wanted to ask Dragon 1 something.
Go for it.
Jackson 1, I had a question about your beast.
Hmm?
How long has it been alive?
Well, like I said, I kind of stopped counting, but from what cousin Egos and the Poultice said, they were already an adult when we found them. I don't know how long these things live, but I'd say easily 20 years, maybe older. Again, I don't know how long these things live. I just know it was an adult when it found me, and it's been chasing me since then. As far as I know, it's not stopped.
Okay. Kato,
R.I.P.
Yes,
Carol.
sorry.
Oh, they're there.
Kato, dragons like these usually live.
I don't know. I don't know these kind of dragons.
Okay. Never mind.
He gives a nod, and if nobody has anything else, you all continue. As you get deeper into the jungle, you find yourself combating a dense swarm of insects. Less a sword and shield combat and more of a having to swat your neck every few minutes. Every so often, you're forced to sit in a cloud of these things as Liv has to stop and hack away at some foliage to keep your progress moving.
Complaining only. I have bug bites everywhere.
Yeah, I will say by the time the sun is beginning to set, you guys are all covered in bug bites.
Sounds like a
And
feast. Sounds like a feast for Kara.
I want to have a shower. I hate this.
Yeah, Carol was
Oh, you want me to kiss your
like
bug bites
also
better
said,
for you, Lucian?
Gil, I can't hear you, so I'm just going to ignore you. What did you say, Caleb?
oh no, I was commenting on a character.
Ah.
I think been there, done that, and he stops and hacks at a leaf. Has the right idea. Currently doing that. Your new official position, since you don't know how to navigate through this jungle as well as yours truly. Your job, keep these bugs off of our packmates.
Okay. And she starts eating them at a rapid pace.
She's like,
Just-
okay.
Oh my god.
She just does like the Yoshi thing.
Yeah.
How terrifying is it?
She gets the order and
It's-
she just opens her mouth and just suddenly this tongue just rapid fire.
Yeah, I'll say, Kara, would you like to describe what it looks like?
Please do.
It's more so that she just is keeping her mouth open and like
like a
gesturing for the
net.
bugs to go into it with her hands.
With her hand.
She's
You're like a whale.
She's just corralling them. Yeah, she's just corralling them into her mouth.
Come into the mouth. You know you want
Well,
to.
Kara's going to be so full by the end
I
of
think
this.
that Kara
Yeah,
has
she's gonna.
Kara has
dying.
single-handedly invented all you can eat.
Oh, nature's beautiful, ain't it?
Karo thumbs up.
All right, and he hacks until his blade is stuck in a nearby tree trunk. We'll cap here.
Question, DM.
What's that?
In those notes that I found,
Yes.
is there possibly maybe like a salve that could help with this itchy bug bite situation?
You remember, you wouldn't know. Basically, you could flip through the book. There may be a recipe for a salve, but A, you would need to find the ingredients, and B, you wouldn't know how to go about mixing it.
Right, so like, well, I have some ideas with like my research on chemistry and stuff, so I have some ideas.
Well, you have some ideas, but there's a difference between I read it in a book once and I can actually do it in the field on the fly.
Right, so what I was going to ask is, if there is a recipe, could I possibly find it in this area?
Find all the
I'll say make me an investigation check at disadvantage to see if you can find the recipe, because you don't know the contents of this book, so you're basically trying to assuming you're not willing to sit there for hours reading through the whole thing to find the itch ingredient.
Okay, not bad. I need to know what my plus is for investigation.
Yeah, remember you have disadvantage.
Yeah. So at disadvantage, 18.
Okay. You start flicking through the book, and you do not find a dedicated mixture for this, but you do find something that would, at the very least, alleviate the sensation. As remember, this is more of a surgical intended guide rather than just like random poultices. But that being said, you're not exactly an expert on local fauna. Not to mention you're kind of certain some of the fauna it doesn't even grow down here. But if you like, you can roll nature at disadvantage to try and gather up some things to assemble something.
Could I possibly maybe rope Caro into helping me forage?
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say sure for flavor, but I'm gonna rule that you'll still have disadvantage because again, you skimmed the book, found something that looks kind of similar. You aren't sure what half of these plants are. You're not even sure if you can find them. You don't know what you're looking for, or if it's even here. And you're gonna try and gather those things and then mix it for the first time in your life when again you're not even sure you have the right ingredients.
Okay, so
yeah, sorry, I'm fine with helping.
Okay, great. That would be a whopping 11.
All right. With
What's
some
the roll
assistance
again?
from Caro, neither of you.
Oh, no. Okay.
What's up?
I wasn't sure if you wanted me to roll too or not.
No. Like I was basically explaining that, like basically Lucian's still gonna have disadvantage
sorry.
even with the help. Yeah, just just for this situation because it takes you some looking. Caro, with Caro's input, because Caro knows a bit more about plants in the field, you are able to at least gather some ingredients. You're just not exactly sure, because you're basically finding approximations of what you're looking for that you're not even sure is helpful here. That being said, you have ingredients and you can attempt to
I will say I am.
It sounds like a very bad idea.
Oh,
I am my father's daughter. I am my father's daughter, and I will experiment.
All right, make me a medicine check.
Okay. Here we go.
And while Lucian's mixing up their mixture, what are the rest of you doing while camp's being set up?
Wow.
Anything?
I don't know.
No.
I was just trying to pass the time, and I was like, alright, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Alright.
Actually, there's something I forgot I was going to do.
Go for it.
So, I would like to kind of go to my leg and go and get a little access to my little potion strap that I have. I forgot what you called it.
Alright, so you're going to pull free the self-injecting healing potion?
Yeah. A garter belt.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna I would like to Because honestly, if I get into a fight, like where if I get into a fight, I'm going down. I highly doubt a small potion is going to do much. So I would like to kind of take the time to replace it with a greater.
Yeah, absolutely. Just go ahead and note down that then. You take a moment to upgrade which thankfully it slots in easily enough. Because it's just the mixture that's changed, not the amount. So, you have now replaced your self-injecting potion with a greater healing potion instead of a lesser. And Lucian, what'd you get on your medicine?
I am rolling so fucking good. I got a natural 19. I don't know. These dice are just so fucking good. So that would be. Hang on, I just had it. I had the number in my head, and then I got distracted. So that would be a 26.
Okay. You and Caro take a mixture of some of the local ferns and a strange. You need a fruit that you cannot find down here, but you find a fruit that's the same color, and mix those together. And I will say with that medicine check that as you finish brewing this potion, quote unquote, it's more of this awful, muddy little froth. I will say it is not, unfortunately, a pain relieving salve. However, I will say you can identify what it is, just because you've experimented with alchemy and you've seen chemicals. You would know this mixture you just created would not act as a pain reliever. It would act as a pain enforcer and would in fact worsen the pain of the bites if applied.
Okay. I will actually save this for later.
All right. You now have a mint and lemon poultice. If you make a melee attack against a creature you can touch, you can on a hit cause it to take 1d8 poison and 1d8 acid damage, as long as it took fire, slashing, or piercing damage since the end of your last turn. And if that damage is applied, it'll take half of it again at the start of its turn.
Sweet.
So you weren't able to make an anti-itch potion, but you did make something to hurt someone.
Hey.
But because she rolled good on medicine, she was able to identify that before rubbing it on her neck.
This is what we call a success. It's not what we were looking for, but it's something.
Yeah, Caleb, as she says this, you can see that she's waving around a flask of this fucking, it's like this bright greenish yellow, frothy, pulpy looking liquid.
Would Caleb recognize this? Because I'm pretty sure your sister was pretty good with poisons.
I'll tell you what, make me a medicine check.
Okay. He's terrible at that. 15.
She did not use it herself. However, you have heard her talk about this. The surface, which actually has the ingredients you would need, it is not meant to be a medicine or a poison for that matter. From what your sister said, it actually is just a mixture that doctors will make for themselves to be used as tea. Apparently it tastes delicious, but if it's applied to injuries, it burns horribly, as both of the plants used to make it have properties that make them, I don't know what the word would be, but basically the reason that salt and lemon juice and stuff hurts when applied to cuts, both of the plants used to make it on the surface have that property, which you imagine is likely the reason Lucian's getting the reaction she is. But from what your sister said, it tastes delightful. It just feels awful if you apply it to an injury.
So it's not even actually a poison.
Yeah, at least not meant to be one, but it can be.
Actually, I will. Caro, actually.
Yes.
Sorry, Caro. Zephyr!
Oh.
Sorry. Sorry to bother you, Zephyr, but I made this poison that maybe you would like to use with your crossbow? Maybe?
He's gonna kind of look at this poison, just presumably say, and be like, and just kind of, well, it'd be better if you give it to my brother. He's better with that kind of stuff.
Well, he's been using his gun, and I've noticed that you still are using your crossbow, which is why I am offering it to you.
I will say out of character, didn't you say, wasn't it like say that you have to make a melee attack, not a range attack?
Typically, yes, although I would allow you to attempt to apply it to a crossbow bolt.
Yeah, you just like dip the tip in it and then like pew pew. You don't have to take it, Zephyr. It's just call it a peace offering?
Peace offering.
Well, I've been thinking a lot.
You do that.
Yeah, it's a problem. But nevertheless, and she kind of like winces a little bit. I'm sorry. I have been treating you horrendously, and I am better than that. And you're better than that.
Oh, I'm better than that.
What you did was a while ago. It was a while ago. And I think after talking about, my conversations with Lucifer, I think I understand where you're coming from, because, what happens when we do go to Wicket and my brother shows me whatever it is that he's been working on, and he invites me to be with him again, and I have to make that decision then. And I realize that I've been really hard on you for making this a decision that I probably also would have made. And I'm sorry. So please, take this, and I will try to be nicer.
So Zephyr's gonna reach for his weapon.
Wait, what?
Yeah. He's gonna kind of grab. He's not gonna like pull it towards him, but he's gonna kind of grab a weapon, like, So are you? Who are you?
I am Lucian Elephicure, also known as Mage.
She's like, really?
Imposter!
A 180.
I understand your hesitancy, but like I said, I've been thinking, and thing that I've always been working towards is being like my mum. She was beautiful and she was loved by everybody. You know, you could have all of the beauty in the world, but if you're not nice, nobody's gonna like you, and, you know, you are ugly on the inside. Or at least that's what Nona would say. And I've realized that I have not been acting like my mum. So, like I said, I want to use this as a, you know, peace offering and offer you a. And she kind of like, she hesitates for a good, like a good few seconds. Friendship? Or at least an alliance. If you do not want to be friends, which I will understand if you do not, because I have been acting horrendously. Especially towards you.
Most of this, like pretty much throughout the entire conversation, he's just mostly just confused of what's going on. Like, am I being pranked or am I about to, you know, something about to happen to me? Revenge from all the water. But after you say all that, he's just gonna like, he'll kind of put his weapon down or back, and just us being friends. Frankly, I have no, how to say this. I have no ambitions of becoming friends. Alliance is fine, but simply we're working together for, I guess you could say, a common goal. Until that common goal changes, then the alliance ends.
She kind of sighs when you say that.
But as I said, I'm not really versed in poison. My brother's more versed in that. I mean, he'd probably be able to use it better.
Well, I don't have. Well, I do have a weapon, and I have used it before, but I'm not sure that I want to use it. You know, like Caro's got her poison, and I thought either, like, I guess. I don't know if Caleb could have use for it because, like I said, he has his gun, and he's been using his gun. I haven't seen him use a crossbow since after we left.
He never used a crossbow.
Yeah. I don't ever think I've ever seen him use a crossbow, to be honest with you.
He's only ever used a melee weapon or a ranged, or the musket or the gun.
Yeah, firearm, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I've only
Well, he's
seen
not
him...
using a firearm now. He's got the laser thing.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, gun, either way.
Mm-hmm. So like I said, I've only seen you use a crossbow. So, you know, if you don't want it, maybe I could like give it to Gil and he could put it like on his gauntlets or whatever. But I wanted to give it to you. But if you don't want it, you don't have to take it.
I guess
Actually a poison.
What?
Because that's what Caleb observed about it, that it's not actually poison.
Yeah, just because you have like an actual like practiced chemist feedback on the matter. Lucian just knows what the mixture does, like functionally.
Caleb's gonna be like, I will say it's not actually a poison. It's actually
Well,
a
I mean,
tea.
functionally it is. Like, it has the same function.
It has the same function.
Well, it's
Really,
not
mostly just
technically
burns
a
if you
poison,
get
but
it on a
like, it
cut.
gives poison damage.
What does it do?
Mostly what it does is that it burns cuts. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
poured salt water on it. I don't know why Lucian's going.
I don't know.
know that.
Like I said, if you don't want it, I could give it to somebody else, or maybe I could sell it. I don't know. But you know, it's up to you.
Do I want it? Trying to think of would I use it on my melee?
You have a melee?
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah, he's
I have
used it
two.
before.
I have two.
Yeah.
I have a rapier and my whisper.
Mhm. Yeah, poison your umbrella.
You'll kind of hesitantly take it, I guess. I mean, worst comes to
Yeah,
worst,
Lucian.
he'll throw it away later.
Lucian will give it to him.
All right. And Lucian suggested during the trip, but I will leave it up to the non-elves of the party. Lucian did postulate, which Liv seemed to agree was a solid plan, to have two people stay up for watches while you're in the jungle to avoid flanking maneuvers by the Death Dozens. So, does anyone want to volunteer to take up a watch alongside one of the elves?
Yeah, so instead of 2, it's gonna be 5, unless the other elf helps.
Plans to.
I'll watch.
Okay. And so Kato, Zephyr, or Caleb, either of the three of you.
I mean, I guess I don't mind watching. I have a decent perception.
Okay. And any preference on who the two of you take watch with?
Nope.
I would take and watch the entire time with them.
I'm going to assume, because, yeah, as you pointed out, because the elves can stay up a bit longer while still getting a long rest, I'm going to assume that, unless Kato and Caleb volunteer, that you guys will basically help for half the watch and then let the elf take the other half of the shift, but that still lowers the overall amount of time that you're exposed.
I mean, Lucian's not gonna like force anybody to go with her, but like, she's like, you know, I do need help.
Go with her, we just have to stay at camp.
Yeah. And speaking of Zephyr and Neon, if you two are helping watch, any preference on which elf either of you are going with?
Nope.
I guess I'll go with Gil, because, you know, why would I want to be... Nah. I'm already suspicious of the possible imposter.
Yeah, just like, I see what's happening. You're not fooling me.
Yeah.
All right.
Some
All
shapeshifter.
In that case, Neon, because I already have the elves' perceptions noted for this trek, go ahead and make me a perception check. And Zephyr, you make me one as well for when your watch comes around. Neon, Zephyr, I know you have dark vision, but Neon, do you?
Yes, 60 feet.
Okay, so both of you roll me perception.
I got a 6.
Okay.
That sucks. Rolling low tonight.
What'd you get?
13.
Okay. The watches shift, but by this point, as I've said, you guys have gotten out of the fog. So as Kero and Caleb and Liv tuck in for the night, Liv actually crawling up into a tree and making themselves an improvised hammock of branches and leaves, and then just looking down to all of you guys as you're less setting up camp, as there's so much foliage with literally no like clearing. You're more just trying to find a place that isn't like impossible to get comfortable in, and just smiles down at all of you and just, good night. And his leg kind of twitches in the air slightly. Gil, as you and Neon take your first watch, you both keep a weather eye on the surroundings. And given the warnings you got, it's a little unnerving, to say the least. Every brush of foliage or crack of a twig could be one of these draconic predators coming to investigate you. Neon, while you can see the foliage is thick, and even with Morgan's help, it's just difficult to know. You don't know what you're looking for. You understand them to be a little on the small side to begin with. It's not your ideal terrain, to say the least, and you're struggling, especially when it gets later in the night and you're eventually forced to turn in, as your biology just simply can't keep up with the elven ability to forego sleep. Gil, around the time that Neon is preparing to probably bunk down for the night or risk exhaustion, you haven't taken your eyes off of the same spot, because you do see a small reptilian pupil staring at you in the distance, its eye gleaming slightly in the occasional flicker of moonlight. It hasn't moved. It stays completely motionless as a small boa slithers in a tree over its head and just stares.
Based off of what Dragon 1 said earlier, do I see any others?
Make a perception check with, I'll say with advantage. Are you going to tell Neon that you've seen one?
Yes. I will.
All right. Neon, as you're preparing to turn in for the night, Gil alerts you to the presence of a Death Dozen dragon watching the camp.
And in that case...
Oh, I've got the rolls.
What were you going to say, Neon?
I'm going to stay in Morrigan.
Okay. Gil, what'd you roll? Give me both.
First one is 21. The second one is 18.
Okay. You, Neon, as you stay in Morgan and tighten your grip on the controls, and Gil, you carefully scan your surroundings without taking your direction completely away. Gil, you don't see it, but you hear it. A rustle in the brush further down the path. And Neon, quickly checking your surroundings and flanks, you do indeed see, almost camouflaged against the bark of a tree not far from the camp, a Death Dozen dragon laying flush against the tree. The night almost, but not completely, camouflaging it, which also gives you a chance to actually take in what these things look like relatively close up. It's a lot smaller than you expected. You knew going in that it was small, but it's tiny. Like only like a foot and a half tall, you'd estimate. But you see a very small but sleek looking dragon. And while you can't see its feet through the foliage, you imagine it does indeed have that sickle claw that Liv described. And all three of the ones the two of you can see are just watching.
How far away are they?
The one that you can see laying flush against the tree is 60 feet away from you, just at the edge of your dark vision.
Let me see something real quick. Give me one moment.
But do something. Yeah.
Should we leave them alone? Should we wake up the others? What are you thinking, Leon?
So I imagine we're on the edge of camp right now, and then he's 60 feet away from us, correct? Just to make
Yeah,
sure we're
basically
on
you
the same
guys are
page?
in camp because you were told. I'm assuming you didn't wander off because you were told not to.
Yeah.
And again, it's not like a clearing. You're basically just chilling and trying to get some sleep at the edge of the river in just this super dense foliage. But yes, 60 feet away from you. So I'd say like at most like 70 feet away from camp, you just see one of the dragons like laying flush against a tree.
Cool. I'm gonna kick on Morgan's flamethrower.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna shoot it yet. I'm just gonna light it up and see if there's any reaction from the thing.
Make an intimidation check.
I will.
And can I also help him?
Could you also what?
Help him.
Can I help him with his trying to scare them?
How?
I'm going to take my javelin, throw the javelin, not hitting the creature, but put it right above its head.
Yeah.
So that whenever you go to get it, you'll be the most separated from the group and the easiest to pick off.
It's just a javelin. I have 4. Well, I got like 3 more of them.
Neon, what'd you get for intimidation? And sure, I'll give you advantage for that.
Advantage.
Yeah, so intimidation with advantage. Tell me what both results were.
So the first one was an 11, and the second one was a 6.
Okay. You kick on your flamethrower, and Gil, you fling your javelin. It impacts the tree and stays above its head. And its eyes narrow a bit, and you can see the pupil like rapidly change size at the sudden influx of light from your flamethrower, Neon. And it doesn't move. It actually stops and kind of bites at its foot a little bit, almost like it's picking bugs off of its foot, completely nonchalantly, and kind of shakes its head with a and kind of stretches it out its neck and kind of itches its neck on the trunk of the tree and just continues to stare.
Oh,
Not
I know what I can do.
at all.
That's fine. Where are they? So, I completely forgot that Morgan had this, but Morgan has headlights that would normally give me 60 feet of dark vision, assuming I didn't have it, but in this case, augments it to 120 since I already have it. So, using that, I would like to scan over the horizon, or not horizon, but, like the area again, like ignoring that one that we've been,
Make a perception check with
trying to be
advantage.
mean to. All right. Perception. I'm much better at perception, luckily. 16 and then a 17.
You flick on your headlights, and you see the creature's eyes again rapidly change size. Although, while it does step back at this, it doesn't yet run away. And both of you see, as Neon, you cast that part of the jungle into light, 3 additional dragons you hadn't seen crouched next to it. And Neon, as you turn to start surveying the area, and Gil, your eyes follow, both of you realize at the same time you had taken your eyes off the other 2 to focus on this one. And as you both turn around to Gil to follow the lights that Neon's creating, you see that the camp is completely enclosed on all sides by a quick head count, 8 of these things. Not moving to be aggressive, just crouched in the foliage, their heads poking up, almost like they want to be seen. And as the light waves over them, one of them kind of gives a meh and snaps their jaws a bit. And you see, Gil, you see one start to sniff a bit at Caleb rolled up in bed at its feet, kind of sniffing at his head lightly.
Just gonna note, Caleb would be sleeping in the cart again.
Yeah, which, again, they've surrounded the camp. So, again, they're not being aggressive, just curious, almost.
Gather, go wake everyone up. And I'm going to light up the fucking jungle with the flamethrower.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Too much for not setting the place on fire.
Fuck it, it's a
like
bunch of
plan-
plants.
I guess Plan M has moved up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't take Lucian's fragile sensibilities into mind when I was trying to keep us away from a bunch of, murderous creatures.
Unforgivable.
so since you told me to go wake up everyone, remember that scream of the
Swamp Stalkers?
yeah, the Swamp Stalkers? Can I replicate that again?
Sure, maybe a performance check for fun.
At this point, I
And
just
Neon?
imagine it's like the beginning of like that Led Zeppelin song.
Neon, go ahead and make me an attack roll. So you're just trying to light the jungle up, right?
Basically, just think of it as I'm basically just spinning around, shooting just a ring of flame around the camp.
Okay. Okay. In that case, does the flamethrower have a specific stated rule for setting things aflame, or because I know what I'm going to do if it doesn't. I just wanted to check before I. Basically, if it doesn't have a specific rule about how setting things on fire works, then
I don't think it does, but I'll look it up in a sec and tell you for sure.
All right. Well, assuming it doesn't, assuming it doesn't, make me an attack with the flamethrower at disadvantage.
All right. Wait. Hold up. There it is. Oh yeah, fire cone. That's what it was called, not flamethrower. Real quick.
Functionally, it's a flamethrower. So.
Yeah. Real quick. 15-foot cone of fire. Every creature in the area must succeed on a dex save or take 3d6 fire damage, or half as much on a successful save. Okay, so it doesn't say anything about lighting them on fire.
Okay, I will say, I will allow you to target the jungle essentially without risking the party, but I will say if you want to try and hit the raptors, it is going to be there's no way you can hit them without the party members being in the cone.
No, I'm lighting up the jungle.
Okay, just making sure. In that case, so it's a saving throw, so I will just say saving throw at advantage for the jungle, which I'll explain why when we get there. Gil, how'd you roll on performance?
That was a natural 19, so that's a 22.
Okay. Gil, with surprising accuracy, all of you are shocked out of sleep by a surprisingly decent rendition of the Quetzalcoatlus' call. All of you immediately startling in fear of an attack. And
shoot his rifle in a random direction.
Yep, and Caleb, you not only are disturbed out of your sleep by that, but you smell something like rotting meat. And as you grab for your rifle and start sweeping, you see a small feathered dragon leap into the foliage out of sight, bouncing off of the cart. Its kick actually shaking it slightly. All of you are startled awake by Gil's call.
In a random direction. He fires in that general direction.
I'll tell you what, make an attack roll at disadvantage.
He
Could
gets
I
a plus
say-
3 to hit with that thing.
Yeah, could I say just out of pure instinct, I could do a sacred flame?
I'll say since it's a cantrip, sure.
Alright,
Cool.
I got a 13.
Okay, 13 to hit, and And Lucian, again, you have disadvantage as well because you can't actually see your targets.
Right. It's actually a dexterity save from you.
Oh, okay.
So,
Dex save, which they succeed.
Okay. I don't think they take any damage in that case.
Yeah, because it's a
Yeah.
cantrip.
It's a cantrip, so
Yeah.
almost certainly not. Okay. As both of you are startled awake by Gil's call, and all of you in the cart feel it shaking as you all startle awake, Caleb, you fire a shot that goes into the foliage, and from what you can see, you do not make any impact. Neither do you, Lucian, as you rapidly, almost like half asleep, mumble a spell and shoot it into the nearby grass. All of you can just see movement in the foliage around you. That suddenly becomes a lot more rapid. Lucian, I'm going to need you to make me a wisdom saving throw.
Fire.
I knew you were gonna say that. Okay. Watch me be the one. Like, I got 3 natural 20s. Like, now I'm gonna roll something shitty.
Yeah.
Natural 20! Oh my
Hey!
god!
All right. Lucian,
waited.
you feel almost like you feel this painful stretch in your head as your half asleep eyes start to wake up to see a fire beginning to consume the jungle. But as your eyes make out Morgan, where you currently are, what the party discussed, you start to calm down, remembering that the party is here and would not set a fire unless it was necessary, and that you are safe in the cart. Neon, while the jungle is too humid and moist for the fire to stick and spread, it does certainly seem to startle the creatures, as you all can hear hissing rattles from the surrounding foliage, as the little shuffles of movement you can see get rapidly faster, making for the edges of the camp and going still.
So they're running away?
Seems like it. As the light from the flamethrower is reduced to the tinder and embers that it could take hold on without burning the whole jungle, the camp has gone still, silent with the exception of Morgan's shuffling movements and the rushed breathing of all of you who had been awoken so suddenly.
Did our guide wake up?
Yes. As the scene begins to quiet down, you hear from up above, "So," you see him lounging with his arms hanging freely, dangling from the hammock. "How'd you all sleep?"
I didn't get my full rest, did I?
You did not.
None of us did.
I'm still
Yeah,
very
nobody did.
Well, I guess. No, yeah, none of us did. So, I'm gonna proceed to go back to sleep.
He looks around at those of you in the cart and then to the two keeping watch and gives a smile. "That was clever thinking. Scared them off. Likely as not, that'll keep them busy for a little bit while they regroup and figure out what to do next. That was, think of it as something like a test. So, what do you two, as the current guardians of our safety and limbs, think we should do? We can stay here and try to finish camping through the night, take our chances that they won't come back, or we can try and move on and contend with tiredness and dragons."
Well, I'd say we keep We stay here. You're gonna follow us one way or another.
He gives a smile and waves his stuck blade to you. And you, it happened once in a dream? Solemn
R.I.P.
treatment. I'll see. He stretches a little bit and lounges in the hammock. And, well, if that's going to be the case, then if nobody else has any objections, let's try and finish off our nap.
Can I just say, I hate that my microphone likes to disconnect randomly every, 10 minutes or so.
It's all
Drives
good.
me nuts.
What were you wanting to say?
I was just saying, I vote we stay here. I could always set the forest on fire again, worst case scenario.
Please, for the love of the gods, don't.
I can't help it. If they show up again, I'm going to do it again.
It is fun.
He gives a smile and it happened once in a dream. You head off to Kip, and I'll tell you what. If I had to pick a guy, you take the rest of the night off. I'll keep an ear out.
I'm just gonna sleep in Morrigan.
Oh, and before you go back to sleep, Dragon 2, just thought I should inform you. Looks like they've decided you're the tastiest and the most likely to fall behind. Food for thought.
Good thing I
Over
stay
my
in the
dead
cart.
body. I will not let them take Caleb.
Oh, that's nice. You're not going to let him, are you?
No.
Well, you can take that up with the Alpha.
Don't worry, I will.
He slides down from his hammock and twirls his blade and takes a seat where Gil had been sitting. And with that, you guys are able to settle into a still uncomfortable, but at least slightly less so, rest. If what Liv says is true, the dragons may not be back for a while. But who knows when they will come back and what it will bring when they do. The night passes, and
I was going to. I forgot. I changed my setting.
What's up?
But Gil's going to keep the rest of his watch.
Okay.
He likes the guy, but he doesn't trust him 100% with his life.
Okay. But I will say, as you're about to swap over watches, he has not gotten up and just stares into the jungle.
Okey-dokey.
That being said, Gil, assuming you turn in for the night.
Yeah, I did.
The night passes, and those assigned to the second watch, you.
Who was assigned to the second watch?
Yeah, I know it was meant to be
You said.
Lucian and Neon and Gil and Zephyr. I just got it mixed up in my head. There's usually not two watches. I apologize for that. But it actually doesn't matter, because the two who would have taken second watch, you find yourself waking up with the sun.
No one ever woke me.
Shit, I overslept.
As you all begin to rise, even those in the cart, it was still a humid, bug-infested night. So it was far
Oh.
from a comfortable sleep, especially with the disturbance of the Death Dozen Dragons. But you all wake up and looking around, those of you who would have taken the next watch confused that you had not been awoken in the night, turn to see Liv still sitting in the same spot you had left him, his blade embedded in the dirt and just staring at the jungle silently.
Why didn't you wake us up?
Lost in thought. Figured you could use the rest.
What are you thinking about?
Wondering how far behind me she is now. Wonder if we're
You're
gonna run into
beat.
her on the way out. Yeah. That's the thing about a canyon. One way in, one way out.
The canyon doesn't have another exit, like at the other end of it.
Well, if you fancy yourself one of those surface carp, you could always take your chances up the waterfall.
Well, don't we have to go to the waterfall anyway?
Well, yeah, but far cry from going through it versus trying to get up it. But if you could, there is a path through the Nightmare Mountains. Not a whole lot lives there outside of some dragons in the nests, but it's a long climb and a long way down if you slip.
Well, I could always cast Walk on Water and we could probably climb the waterfall just fine, don't you think?
Maybe. We'll see how it pans out. Likely as not, you all won't survive getting there to begin with, so might not be our problem.
Right, you are just a big red, shining light, aren't you?
I like to think of myself as a realist.
You know that's what my name means, right?
Hmm?
My name, Lucian. It means shining light.
Mage means shining light.
No, my real name, Lucian.
Did you even get?
I like it. Mage.
Oh Lord.
You know what? Forget it.
Don't worry, already did.
Yeah.
She looks annoyed and packs up her stuff.
Come along then, Snacks and Snapples. Let's get moving.
Is that a group name?
That's D&D, a D&D version where you get stuck in a convenience store.
You have Snacks and Snapples.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll run that as a one-shot someday.
Is that our official group name, Snacks and Snapples?
Well, maybe. Let's see if it sticks. With that, another day of travel begins. Is there anything you guys would like to do, or are you just going to stick to the established pattern for now?
Stick to the established pattern.
Yeah.
Just stick to the
Yes.
card as he usually does.
Okay. Kato, you've been quiet. Is there anything you'd like to do during this trip?
No.
Okay.
Mm. Just exist.
Exist.
Yeah, just kind of hover in orbit atop Morgan.
Space frog.
Okay. Space Frog. Okay. In that case, you guys continue your jungle trek. And as far as all of you can tell, you are not followed this time. The river babbles through the foliage, thick and rooty as it is. Liv continues to carve you all, quite literally, a path. And another day of bug bites and sweat awaits you. But as you're all setting up camp for another night in the jungle, Liv climbs to the top of a nearby tree, and after a moment slides back down in a newly refurbished hammock. But as he looks over at all of you guys, again, attempting to find some comfort in the foliage on the ground, says, "Well, we're making good time, Snacks. If we keep going at this pace, we should be able to get you to the temple by the next afternoon. You're lucky. Take it if you didn't have me here, it would have taken you another few days."
Well, as if we survive this night.
Yeah, good point. With that, camp is set up, and this time the actual requested watches, Gil and Zephyr, and Lucian and Neon. Zephyr, what did you roll for perception? I already have Lucian, Neon, and Gil's noted. Just need yours.
It was bad. It was so bad.
I know it wasn't like great, but
13.
Yeah.
I rolled a 5. But
yeah, okay, all right. So
I do have one quick thing that I want to do.
all right, so that can happen during your watch. Gil and Zephyr, the two of you watch over the camp, at least to the best of your ability. You watch.
Were we packed down for the night again?
Yeah, but Liv says you should arrive at the temple by the next afternoon.
Okay, I was going to note that Caleb was going to do something before he went to sleep.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do that first, and then assuming Gil and Zephyr don't have anything, we'll cut to Lucian. So, all right, as the party's setting up for the night, and Liv gives his ominous,
around his spot that he's going to sleep, Caleb's going to set up his rifle in one spot where he can grab it. Then in another spot, he's going to put the rapier. Basically, he's going to set up various weapons around where he's sleeping so that depending on whichever situation he's in, he'll have something he can grab.
Sounds good. All right.
To use quickly.
Noted. All right.
So basically, all of his weapons are gathered around where he is in various locations. It seems like he thought out, like, this is where this needs to go. This is where this needs to go.
All right.
Like I'm sure you've seen a scene like that in a movie.
Yeah. Like you know exactly what position you would need to be in to grab it and use it at its most effective.
Yeah.
All right. Easy enough to do. Caleb, you meticulously set up your bed space to ensure that you will not be caught off guard again. Your gun in a position where you could quickly grab shoulder and fire it in a swift motion. Your rapier, much of the same. And once you have your lethal teddy bears set up, you...
The dagger +1, he'll, like, stick it into a part of the... Like... He'll, like, stick it into a part of the cart. Just stick in there, and so he could, like, grab it and quickly use it. Basically, he's going to have a weapon for pretty much any angle he can think of.
All right. Easy enough to do. As you...
And probably, like, the musket is probably pointing, like, the opposite direction of the laser rifle in a similar situation.
Okay. As you... the Zephyr, you kind of watch idly as you prepare for sleep, as your brother like sets up the laser rifle and the rapier and then considers for a moment before sticking the dagger into the cart, and then considers again before setting up the musket, seeming to just keep adding to his little fortress.
Basically, all of the weapons he has are positioned somewhere. So his dagger +1, laser rifle, musket, rapier, short sword, and maybe, and probably like at least one of the daggers he has, if not all of them, are just set up in a position.
All right, easy enough to do. With all of your training coming to some degree of fruition as you very carefully think out what positions would be optimal, You set up an array of weapons to keep you safe for the night. Comfortable and very lethal set of teddy bears.
Hmm.
Gil and Zephyr, your watch passes without incident. The jungle is quiet as a jungle ever is. Zephyr, your attention is kind of idly drawn to another strange-looking snake coiling through the branches above, but it's slow and doesn't appear dangerous. Just
That's
slithering.
the one you should worry about, is the ones that don't look dangerous.
Yeah, the one. And Zephyr, you have to turn in early, but Gil, you can move to awake Lucian and Neon for their part of the watch. And if nobody has anything else, Lucian, as you and Neon are keeping watch, what would you like to do?
So while we're keeping watch, Lucian will look at Neon. I haven't checked in with you for a while. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
You are a liar.
No, I'm telling the truth. I'm doing just fine.
Insight.
Neon, are you lying?
Like half lie, I guess.
Okay. Go ahead and roll insight, Lucian.
Okay.
I'll say you don't have to roll deception, Neon.
Just want to see how insightful Lucian can be today. Wow. Okay, so that's a natural 19. This dice is so good to me today. Thank you.
Don't worry, I'll touch it later.
I'll touch
You
it.
touch it, you die.
I'm sorry, has that dice rolled something less than a 19 yet?
They rolled like an 8 earlier.
Yeah.
And like an 11.
23.
All right. I'll say Neon. You do not have to divulge anything you do not want to. I have an answer, but with player-to-player insight deception, I prefer to let the players take. Basically, if they would prefer to take initiative. So, do you have a sort of answer you would prefer to give, or do you want me to take it?
I mean, realistically, Neon just doesn't want to say anything. Neon just doesn't want to talk right now.
All right. So I'll say, Lucian, by what you can tell, Neon doesn't seem like they're being dishonest. More, they do seem and sound, and judging from their behavior, do seem like they're doing better. Neon's been quick to act and more talkative over the past few weeks. But it does seem like Neon's not particularly interested in making conversation at the moment.
I nod my head and... Okay. I'll drop it.
Alright. You two's watch also is quiet. If the dragons are watching you, they're being a lot more subtle about it. And you are not disturbed for the duration of the night. Neon, you eventually turn in, and Lucian, you cautiously watch the camp, kind of trying to cover your angles and flanks, but nothing. Again, a jungle is never truly silent, but it's as close as it gets. Morning comes. And again, by this point, you guys are pretty thoroughly outside of Neon bug bit to hell. Chiaro, you have been feeding well. I will say, because it had not been explicitly said, 2 days from the water skin and 2 days of rations, and of course 2 extra days for each animal you guys are taking care of. So go ahead and knock off just basically 2 days of supplies for every mouth you have to feed. I'll say if your water skins are running low. What's up?
There's like no way to like take 2 off of a water skin.
Oh yeah, but a water skin holds 3 days of water, and you guys had pointed out that you can just refill at the river, which by this point, you guys who are using water skins, since some of you aren't, Zephyr,
refilling it every time.
Yeah, basically, unless you guys had specified otherwise, your water skins are likely just running empty by the time you drink tonight, but you can attempt to refill them from the river. Morning has come. Your water skins, for the most part, are empty.
I'm finding my rations
I
in my
can cast a spell
inventory.
now that I've
'Cause I
rested.
know he has them.
Real quick, what's up, Caleb?
I'm having a hard time finding where my rations are in my inventory because I know Caleb has them.
It might just be hidden in there. But yeah, so just whenever you do find them, it's 2 days worth. Keto, you got them knocked off for yourself and your animals? Alright, I'll note down real quick for when they get back. So yeah, just for everyone who's present, remember 2 days of water, 2 days of food. For every mouth you have to feed. Since most of your... What's up?
I will say that kind of idly, Lucian will offer to fill up the canteen so we don't have to derail as much as possible.
Okay. Will you guys who need water in your water skins take Lucian up on that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Caleb?
Said all right.
Oh, sorry, it didn't come in. Sorry. Keto, you back with us or? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Oh, okay. Are you gonna take up Lucian's offer of refilling the water skins?
Yeah.
Okay. And you got 2 days of ration knocked off for yourself and your animals?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, Lucian, you may cast the spell, and the party, sans Zephyr, who you know by this point has a source of water himself.
To be nice, I'll still offer.
Zephyr, Lucian, offers to use their own magic to fill up your water skin.
There's poison in the water! No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
Explains everything.
yeah, full Zephyr. Technically, you could do that, kind of. It's not poison, but. He kind of refused.
He's gonna what?
He's going to refuse.
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Lucian gives you all a refill of your water skins. You now have 3 days of water, back up to being topped off, and you all begin another hot, bug-bitten, miserable trek through the jungle. As Liv hacks and slashes, it's a few hours. Neon, you've kind of gotten into a habit almost of just like almost letting your mind wander as Liv hacks through a few bits of brush, and then just like having Morgan take a few steps forward, and then waiting for a few more minutes as Liv has to cut through more plants. And as Liv kind of babbles to themselves, chopping plants and occasionally kicking at ones that he seems to think are attacking him in some way, he eventually pipes up from his inane babbles that most of you guys have just been tuning out for the most part. All right, Snacks, figure this would be a good time to let you know. I'll wait for you out here, but I'm not super comfy going in there with you.
I mean, that is fine. But how are you going to tell us about the trap?
Well, like I said, while I've been in, yeah.
He said multiple times he doesn't know.
Yeah. Last time I was in there, I didn't see no traps. But I used to be careful. So, just letting you know, I'd rather not go in somewhere where I don't know what's in it. Like to have my freedom to roam, you know? But I'll give you guys 2 days, maybe 3 if I'm not getting hungry. And I'll wait for you. And if you don't come out by then, I'm going to assume you're dead and go somewhere else.
2 to 3 days, and if you wait that long.
I don't know.
I mean, we don't know how deep this temple is and what lies in there. You know, is it fair to give us 3 days?
I don't know.
Oh, well, whatever. Do as you please.
Like I said, the place wasn't exactly huge when I went there. It all fits behind a waterfall. It's not exactly a mansion. They just went in there and sat down contemplating patience all day.
Plus, if he leaves, then that's his problem. You know, he won't get his part of the deal.
Yeah, that's the ticket. Don't think about what I can offer you. Think of what you can offer me.
Well,
I'm ready to get this over with.
That's enthusiasm. I like it, Snack. Let's go.
Caleb will collect his weapons. before
Wait a
going.
minute. Lucy just kind of like blankly, just blinks. Did he just call me a snack?
Yeah, you're all snacks.
Yeah. I agree. She does look pretty tasty.
Yeah.
When Gil says it, it's just like when this random stranger says like, "Ooh, you could call me a snack."
I don't know. If I had to pick out of you which one I think was the tastiest, I'd probably have to say it's currently doing that. And he kind of waves to you, Kara, up on top. If it wasn't for the poisonous skin, you look like you got some good meat on your bones.
Yeah, that's what I figured he was about to say. Like, not talking about what we're thinking about.
Carol just waves back and just like, yes, things try to eat my kind all the time.
I can see why.
She nods in agreement.
And as he continues to hack his way through the plants, he kind of continues. Because for something big, like a big dragon, Dragon 2, and if I had to pick a guy and mage, are all too bony and gamey. You know, it's like picking strips of meat off a carcass. Like, sure, it's a meal, but it's, you know, it's not filling. It's not satisfying.
Are you calling me skinny?
No, it's calling you bony.
Same difference.
Apparently the dozen dragons apparently disagree.
Fair point. Although, could argue that it's a thing of what's easy to get, you know?
That is true.
Because, after all, we would all want, he kind of pauses for a moment. Fancy food, if we could afford it. But then sometimes you just go out and hunt and kill a dragon and eat its meat and stay awake guarding its carcass from the little ones for about 2 weeks, slowly eating its rotting meat as you wonder if you're slowly going mad.
That seems always specific.
No,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that seems like an everyday thing.
Yeah, we've all been there, haven't we?
No, I don't eat meat.
My favorite part is whenever you're worried that you got a disease and you can't tell if the hallucinations are because you're eating rotten flesh or because you just haven't seen anyone else in years and you're slowly going mad.
I have
Also, I thought of a joke for Caleb.
but not
Oh, no.
because of bad meat.
And, well, Dragon 2, care to share with the class?
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Caleb was like, he was just gonna stay to himself. And this is not right. This is not what I thought of it. Whenever I thought about
I can barely hear you.
Yes, you can stage whisper, don't worry.
Yeah, Caleb is just like, man, I had completely different plans on the whole getting eaten. There was another way I could have said it, but I feel like it would have been too obvious for Twitch.
I mean, whatever. Worst comes worst, you just close it down.
As you all continue to follow the river. True to Liv's word, the plant life begins to mercifully thin as you get closer, and all of you can hear the rushing of a waterfall. And as you all begin to approach the edge of the tree line, the trees begin to thin out completely. And you're actually find yourselves having to kind of almost adjust your eyes as the canopy had not been plunging the jungle into darkness, but given casting consistent shade. So now you're back in like kind of blaring and harsh, the blazing and harsh afternoon sun, and you see stretching before you. The foliage begins to thin until it's reduced to just dots of plant life that appear to have just outgrown, and then finally disappears completely. You see a towering cliff over your heads. Seemingly, you're at the end of the canyon. What's up?
He cut out there.
Did I cut out for everyone else as well?
I mean,
Yes.
you just suddenly said you were saying
Yeah.
and then you said nothing for after
Well, what was the last coherent thing that was heard?
Something about a waterfall?
There was a cliff.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, yeah. Yeah, you see a towering cliff. The blaring afternoon sun. The plant life begins to thin, reduced to outgrowing dots of plant life before disappearing completely. The waterfall cascades down from the cliffs as you appear to have reached the end of the canyon. And as the waterfall impacts, creating this like outcropping of mist and fog over the jungle, flowing down into Killer's River, the route you guys have been following. You do not see anything obvious here, although that does not stop you from noticing something unusual. Where the jungle plant life thins and stops, you see a field of what looks to be decayed plant matter, where the jungle plant life stops. But growing atop it, you see a very sparse few, very tall flowers. Green-stemmed, wide-leaved, with yellow petals and a dark brown center of the flower. Other than that, though, if it wasn't for this strange flowery growth, you would not think there was anything unusual here. But if the information you got from the rebels holds up, perhaps that is not the case. Liv looks over the area and just looks a lot nicer whenever it's not on fire. Well, see ya.
Bye. No, I'm just kidding. Go, please.
As you guys exit the tree line, Liv hops up onto a tree trunk and skitters up it like a feral animal and disappears with a rustle into the treetops. As you guys step out from the shade of the tree line, you find yourself looking at a field of sunflowers. It looks like a bunch of decaying plant matter where the jungle life stops, but with some sunflowers taking root over it. That being said, what would you all like to do?
Yeah, they said it's
I mean, there's nothing
behind
other to do than to go into the place.
Yeah, like they said it's behind the temple. I mean, behind the
The
waterfall,
waterfall.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you
What?
think that we should just walk on water and like go behind the waterfall, or how do you guys
Walk
think
on
that we should
water.
do this?
I would walk on
Yeah.
water.
Or just,
Probably,
go around the waterfall.
there's probably if there's probably a way in without having that.
Okay. If you say so.
I guess we'll do some.
L-
We'll search for a way.
Look
in.
around the waterfall.
All right. To Pager boys, you break off ahead. You can either both roll investigation, or one of you can roll with advantage. Your choice.
We both have roughly the same, I think, right?
Let's see. My investigation is
Like,
+2.
what? Oh, investigation.
Yeah, you said investigation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking perception. Mine's +5.
All right, then I guess we'll give him advantage.
All right. Zephyr, roll investigation with advantage as your brother helps you look around the waterfall. While that's going on, Gil, Kero, and Neon, are the three of you going to be doing anything?
Insight.
Oh, let's see. Like,
No,
I want
really.
mine +4, anyway, so it's still better. Here I can do this.
I'm going to just keep an eye out for ambushes, just in
Alright.
case of those bipedal dragons try to find us again.
Okay.
First roll was 9.
Not very good.
Just keep your
What is-
results in mind. Kero, what are
I
you
didn't
doing?
see the second roll.
It's part of the roll.
So is this waterfall like bordering a river that we've been following?
Yeah. So yeah, for a refresher, you're out of the tree line. You're following the river. The plant life, the trees stop, and then the plant life starts to stop, and then you see a bunch of dead plants with sunflowers growing on them.
I did hear that.
And then a waterfall at the where basically that's the source of the river.
Can I look into the water?
Sure. You looking for anything in particular?
Yeah, just look around in there.
Sure. Make me I'll call this a perception check.
Hey,
Gil,
yeah.
you roll me perception as well. Neon, what are you doing?
Just waiting.
Okay. Gil, what was your perception?
So I'm actually using my inspiration
Okay,
because the first roll was a nat 1.
fair.
So this one is a 24.
Okay. Kato, your perception? All right. Whenever you.
No, wait, sorry. I was pulling up my stuff real quick.
Mhm.
Time to try out these new dice. 19.
Good rolls. Good rolls. Zephyr, you and Caleb's investigation.
Well,
He already told you.
but you said it. I didn't even say it.
Oh.
I rolled a 9 and a 5, with the second one being a natural 1.
Okay.
All right, can I use my inspiration to let him roll again?
Well, no, because technically that would just cancel you. You would need to call that before we rolled, and or rather after the result, and that would basically be giving advantage when he already had advantage, so it wouldn't actually do anything.
So you can't use inspiration if you already had advantage?
Pretty
Well,
much
because inspiration just gives you advantage, so and advantage doesn't stack, so it wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I thought you said it just lets you roll another dice.
No, that's lucky.
No, yeah, you're thinking of luck point.
No, I'm fairly certain you had said, like, because I had asked you a question previously of, like, could I use it?
You would ask me if inspiration could be used to turn disadvantage into a flat roll, but and then you had asked how luck points work at one point, which that is, yes, you just roll an additional dice and pick which one you want. Yeah, no, inspiration is just basically a token to give yourself advantage whenever you either want it or just feel like it.
Because it just means we're just going to have to roll investigation again.
Well, let's see what happens. I haven't said what happens yet.
Stuff happens.
He's not going to find an entrance because he rolled really badly.
Then there's other people who are looking around. So.
Zephyr, you and Caleb start to poke around a bit. Kero branching out behind you as Neon stays towards the tree line, and Gil, you carefully monitor the surroundings for dragon ambushes. Raccoon in the cart watches curiously as Lucian, you kind of watch with some degree of interest to see how the Debager boys go about this, as they seemed confident about their ability to find entrances. Zephyr, you do not find anything of particular note. There does not seem to be any obvious paths, as it appears the dirt just kind of naturally starts to give way into the water of the river as the waterfall gets closer. However, Caleb, as you had already figured, just taking the direct route would be the most obvious, start to experimentally feel the waters of the waterfall. And while they are rapid, to be sure, they do not appear like they would actually seriously hurt you. So figuring that, seeing as Zephyr does not appear to be having any luck finding a path that would lead into it, you curiously push your hand a bit further in, and when you get no resistance outside of the pounding of water on your hand, which, makes you feel a little sore, but it doesn't seem like it's actually going to hurt you in any way. So you decide to, metaphorically and quite literally, take a bit of a dive on it. And as you jump to see if you would be able to get through the waterfall, you feel yourself impact something solid before falling into the water. Kero, you kind of glance to Caleb as he splashes into the river.
Know how to swim.
That's more up to you, but basically, unless like Zephyr you specify he can't, then yeah, most characters can. It's just a matter of how well.
How much water is there around, like, the Petra?
They're fairly close to the sea. It's more. I believe we talked about this before, and we said that Caleb likely wasn't exactly like taught, but it's something that he could like get the hang of with a little bit. And the river is not incredibly rapid, nor is the waterfall incredibly harsh. You just kind of drift in the river, but are easily able to like just get back onto the shore. But the fact that you hit something solid on the other side of the water, it didn't feel like you just hit a rock wall. It just felt like there was something in the way. Kero, as you watch where Caleb fell, you look under where Caleb had impacted, and you notice something interesting. There are roots coming out from under the cliff face of where the waterfall is. You can see just this knotted, gnarled tangle of roots just gripping tightly into the mud and muck at the bottom of the river, where Killer's River begins at the mouth of this waterfall. And while you didn't feel what Caleb felt, you saw that he could touch the water, but then the moment he tried to jump through, he hit something that prevented him from going completely through.
Can I try to touchy?
Absolutely. Make me an investigation check.
Okay. 1 second.
So you know there's something there. It's a matter of figuring out what it is.
What's that? They're kind of small on this one. It's hard to tell. 16.
Kero, Caleb, as you kind of clamber back onto the shore, You see Caro approach the waterfall curiously, and sure enough, Caro, again, the waterfall is not, it pounds on the skin. It does that thing where, like, if you hold your hand under bath water and it, like, your skin visibly divots and it's like, and your hand would be sore if you held it there, but it's not, like, so painful that you couldn't do it. But as you try to reach your arms further in, once you get to about shoulder deep with the waterfall and you're actually having to, like, stand on your tiptoes to prevent from falling in yourself, you do indeed feel your hand hit something solid.
Frogs have
With
grippy
a,
feet.
their feet are sticky, so serves the function. Feeling a little bit, you feel something kind of rough. Not like spiky or painful. Just it has a kind of like almost the best word I can use to describe it is itchy texture to it. Almost like something dry, which is weird in and of itself, given that you're touching something on the exact opposite side of a waterfall.
She'll look back to the group. Lucian.
Lucian will perk up. Yes?
There's some weird stuff over here. Come here.
Okay. I will go over to Caro.
Caro, if you want to be able to, you estimate, you could stand in the river and it would just flow around you. So if you're willing to it'd be a lot more comfortable than like trying to like stretch yourself over the riverbed without touching it.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm hot and it's like, I hate everything, so I don't mind getting wet.
Yeah, it's time to crawl in the river. I can breathe underwater, it's fine. If it goes up above my head.
Alright. So Caro and Lucian, the two of you wade into the river. As Lucian, at Caro's instruction, you also can feel this strange texture on the other side of the waterfall.
Could I'm going to cast Detect Magic.
Okay.
So I will Detect Magic.
You kind of step back a little bit as you get a lot of blips on your radar.
Okay.
Most immediately in front of you, as your Detect Magic almost outlines to an extent what you're seeing before you, you see that whatever it is actually in the shape of a flower. And appears to have a form of magic on it that simply increases durability. You don't know the exact spell, you just know that normally it's School of Magic, but since magic system's a little different in this setting, I basically just rule it as like the general type of magic involved. As you cast Detect Magic, you see that some kind of flower-shaped object is on the other side of the waterfall, which is enchanted to make it basically indestructible. It is magically rendered impervious to any form of physical harm, at least as far as you can tell.
Okay. Do I sense a way to enter?
You do not sense a way to enter. However, I will say you do detect other magical blips on the other side of this object.
Okay.
At this point, the magic sense is kind of like getting stretched to its limits. I will say you can sense at the very, very edges of how far you can sense with Detect Magic at this range. You can detect illusion magic, and that's the only other innately magical sense you're getting. And some transfiguration, which is used in the manipulation of objects.
Gotcha. I will look to Caro. Oh man. There is a lot happening here. I'm glad that you called me over. I was able to kind of like see like an outline of the temple, I guess. It's like shaped like a flower, which I think is interesting. But here is the even more interesting thing, is that the building itself seems to be... There's like magic to increase the durability. So like no matter what you do to it, like if I wanted to like... If I knew like a fire spell, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna cast fire on it. The fire would do nothing. And
I
even
mentioned
more...
there's a waterfall in front of it, so fire
Well,
would be a pretty dumb idea anyways.
I understand the sentiment, Caleb. However, I am just trying to make a point.
It shows it's something other than fire.
Okay, well, if I be like, okay, here's my necrotic damage. The necrotic damage would do nothing. The radiant damage would do nothing. Gil could punch it for like 12 days and nothing will happen. Okay? Do you understand?
Give him any ideas, he might actually try.
Can he try to
No!
Yeah.
Go away! I'm trying to tell you something here. Go away. Anyways.
Gil will go away and do what he wants. Because
Anyways,
he's doing what she said.
there is illusion magic. There is transfiguration magic. There is a lot happening here. I do not, however, sense a way in. However, maybe there... I don't know if the Tibedra boys have located a door or something, but there
Found
is
the
a
wall.
lot happening here. I'm sorry, Caleb?
Taylor said, I found the wall by running into it.
Yes, I also found the wall. It is not hard to do that.
Did she tell them what the shape of it was?
Yes, she said it was a flower shape.
Mm-hmm.
Was it shaped like one of the flowers over there, pointing to the sunflowers?
Was it?
Lucian, as you looked where Kale was pointing and looked back to where your detect magic is still blinking, indeed, it is borderline identical. Also, as a brief side note, I will say I meant to say transmutation, not transfiguration. That is
Okay,
my apologies. It doesn't. The meaning is still the same. Just I got the word wrong, so I wanted to correct that. So,
It's okay.
but yeah. So yes, no. Caleb is correct. It is identical to the flowers growing outside.
Lucian will kind of like take a very, very long look at Caleb. You are smarter than you look. But yes.
Flower plus flower equals...
You're saying I look stupid.
No, I'm telling you that Gil... I'm telling you that Gil looks stupid.
But you said that he looks smarter than he looks. Where's Gil come in the equation?
You'll have to do with this.
Gil is stupider than he looks.
What? Now you're just changing the subject.
Basically, she's using Gil as her default for stupid people, and because Caleb is smarter than he looks, that makes him automatically smarter than Gil, because Gil is dumber than he looks.
Exactly. Thank you.
And she wonders why he doesn't like her right now.
Caleb is going to be like, so those flowers probably have something to do with getting in.
That is very astute. I would also assume as well. Seeing that this is a temple for, like, exercising patience or restraint, I would not suggest picking the flowers.
Caleb is going to go observe the flower.
What do you think, Caro? What do you take from what I have seen?
Caleb, make me a nature check.
Oh God, you're
And-
taking all my worst stats.
Sorry. So go ahead and roll, and then once I have your result, Kato can pick up with Lucian.
I'm going to use inspiration.
Go for it. So you have advantage on this.
All right, it didn't help. It's gonna be a 12.
Okay. Gato, Lucian asked what you thought of the situation.
Hmm. Not sure. Hmm.
Question, DM.
What's up?
With Lucian's studies of religion and stuff, would she happen to have like any idea to like religiously speaking how somebody might enter a Saurian temple?
You wouldn't know. This religion is unique to the island, as far as you know.
Okay.
At least this specific practice. And Caleb. Oh, real quick before I get to Caleb, Zephyr and Neon, do the two of you have anything different you want to be doing before I get to Caleb?
Zephyr's contemplating an idea, but I'll wait.
Okay. Neon, your mic is muted if you're talking. Okay. Caleb, you take a moment to examine the flowers, kind of looking over them curiously. And something actually does strike your attention. While you are not exactly a botanist, and even your sister didn't... so yeah, Neon's just doing their thing. But yeah, so your
Even
sister
his
did...
sister-
Yeah, your sister did grow plants, but you've never seen this particular variety. You assume it's another Underdark plant unique to the island. But one thing about them does stand out to you. You notice that they're all rather tall, and you initially, from the angle you had been looking at them when you first, approached through the tree line, saw that they appeared to be just sticking straight up. However, looking at them from the sides, you can see that they're all leaning backwards towards the cliff face. You can't, looking around, you don't see what they would be leaning towards, but it does strike you as odd that almost in perfect harmony, all of these which from what Liv said, this place was burned to the ground, and it's unlikely the Saurians have been able to deliberately maintain something, especially because they're not allowed to actively practice anymore. So it strikes you as unusual that seemingly naturally occurring flowers are all very oddly pointing towards the mountain like that. All perfectly in the same direction, as if deliberate.
Do they seem to like converge on a specific point or just a general direction?
They do appear to converge on a point, but as far as you can immediately tell, it seems to be just facing the mountain. But they do seem to be converging on a point, but tracing their view, you don't see, at least from your position, what that would be. But it does seem like they're all facing towards something. It seems too specific and deliberate to be nothing, but at least from your angle, you can't tell precisely what it is.
Okay. This seems like a whole lot of waffling. And stalling.
Zephyr, do you want to try the idea you had? It's D&D. I had to put a puzzle at some point.
Caleb, do you point that out to Lucian?
I guess so.
Okay, so you said that all of the flowers are pointing in one direction?
Yes.
And they seem to converge on a point, but Caleb couldn't see anything at that point.
Caleb, how good are you at climbing trees?
What stat would that be?
Athletics or acrobatics?
Caleb is terrible at athletics, but he's okay at acrobatics.
Because
Dex
if you
is actually his best stat, so
Oh, yeah.
he just doesn't have a proficiency in that.
If okay, so I have an idea. Since we can't see like where the flowers are pointing to, maybe we could like get far up and see if it's pointing to like a specific thing.
It's like, I guess I can try.
It doesn't hurt.
Okay, it's gonna look for like a tree or something he can climb to get a higher vantage point.
Go for it. And roll me acrobatics. I just forced you to roll athletics for no fucking reason.
I'll help him up. Like, I'll boost him up and I'll give him some guidance.
Alright, so roll your acrobatics and then roll a d4 and add the d4 to your result.
Okay, hang on, let me roll this acrobatics.
Mm-hmm.
And then add a d4 to the result.
Yep.
Okay.
Lucian did you a solid.
Let's see, do I have something that rolls a d4? Because I don't know where my d4 went.
I can roll a d4 for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let's see. Ooh, okay. That's a 3.
Okay, so that's going to be a total of +6 if I include his bonus. So that's going to be 25.
Easily done. You masterfully climb up the tree, being a little cautious with what you touch, as you don't know what's down here. And you climb very, very dexterously, similar to Liv had, and poof. At the top of the tree line, kind of shaking some loose leaves out of your hair. And you find yourself instinctively having to kind of squint and cover your face, as at this height, you're the sun, which has in the late afternoon been starting to set, which is putting it behind the mountain, is causing it to block your face. Can Caleb go ahead and maybe just, I'll call this a general intelligence check?
Intelligence check.
Yeah, just straight intelligence.
So +2. That is a natural 20.
Woo!
Caleb, as you pop your head out and have to cover your face and squint your eyes against the sunlight, that thought runs through your head of like, oh yeah, this high up, the sun was behind the mountain, but now I'm basically I can see a little bit better and the sun's in my eyes now. And then things start to click into place. The sun has stepped behind the mountains. You're not a botanist, but you know plants need sunlight to live. And the petals of these strange flowers have some resemblance to the sun in and of themselves, at least superficially. They're looking almost like cartoon drawings of the sun. And you aren't sure. It's a hunch, but looking at the direction of the sunflowers on the ground and the sun over the mountain, or when you're at the base behind it, it seems like the flowers are trying to follow the direction of the sun.
Caleb's like, okay, I have a theory now. As he comes down the tree. These flowers seem to always be trying to follow the sun. And the door is shaped like a flower, so I think it will only open when the sun is shining on it.
That is a good theory. So the sun is setting now. So
We would have to wait the whole night.
Mm-hmm.
Until morning.
Okay, with my keen mind, because I know how, like the sun and shit, could I calculate at what time it would be best to try the door?
You have no idea. Yeah, you're you don't even know what position the flower on the other side of the waterfall is in. So I'll say you would guesstimate that as long as you get up sometime before noon, you may be able to get the flower in a position where it's leaning towards the sun, i.e. away from the waterfall, rather than towards it.
Wait,
Okay.
so does that mean the flower moves?
if your theory holds to reason.
Yep, they moved.
Well, no,
towards the
Caleb
sun.
didn't say he moved. He just, when the sun shines on it.
Well, yeah, basically you're saying that, like, because the flowers follow the sun, that whenever the sun hits the door shaped like a flower might open in some way. And since Lucian, and basically all of you at this point know the door is shaped like a flower and appears to be a flower, then it's quite possible that it's just a big old flower.
Yeah, Caleb's going to be like, the way you see it, there's two possibilities. It either opens at night or opens in the morning.
So we try both.
Which would be easy to do. We just wait, see if it opens. If it doesn't open tonight, then hopefully it opens in the morning.
I agree. Like, so maybe we could, since we are taking shifts, me and I guess if Neon is taking a shift with me, Neon and I will try the door. And then in the morning, whoever takes that shift will try the door.
We'd be waking up in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, whoever is taking the second shift, I suppose.
Zephyr, last chance to try out your plan.
My plan? I mean,
You said you had an
I have a couple
idea,
plans.
Bruin. Well, anything you want to do here and now?
I don't know where he is.
It would show some restraint to have to sit and wait for it to open.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Because I mean, there's also
Something that Zephyr lacks.
I mean, like.
Well, same with Lucian, so, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I knew designing the puzzles for this temple. This temple's going to eat this party alive with its puzzle design. I'll tell you right now.
Well, I mean, it's better than doing nothing.
Caleb should be fine.
Oh, yeah. But Caleb's not Zephyr. So I'm going to use my my little decanter and use Geyser on the waterfall.
Remind me real quick what Geyser does?
Produces 30 gallons of water that gushes forth in a geyser 30 feet long and 1 foot wide as a bonus action while holding the decanter, and it basically just sprays a lot of water. Sprays 30 gallons of water in a 30 foot long and 1 foot wide stream.
Okay. Zephyr, you pop the decanter of endless water and summon a geyser, and you all watch as Zephyr just unleashes this fucking very familiar at this point water hose at the waterfall, and while its flow is disrupted and you can see some splash from where it hits whatever's behind it, as the torrent gradually recedes to a trickle, nothing appears to happen.
I have an idea.
Caleb is going to be like, what was that supposed to achieve?
I don't know. I figured it'd do something.
I'm gonna go to the waterfall as well and try to like feel for the door.
The flower, you mean?
Or a door, or like, because you said it was in the shape of a flower. So I'm wondering if could I like do anything with like the petals, or like does the circle push or anything?
I'll say real quick before I get to that, is everyone else more or less good with the set up camp and see if the temple opens at some time either during the night or early in the morning?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Keto? I'll assume yes. Lucian, make me an investigation check.
Okay. Don't fuck me. Okay. Not bad, but not the best. Investigation. 17.
You press on the central part of this flower, and you do, feeling around, you are able to feel something akin to petals. It's at least smoother than the dry, craggly center, although they're massive, each petal easily like the size of your arm. But pulling on those at least delicately so as to not rip them, pushing on the central divot, nothing appears to happen. And in fact, you actually don't feel any give when you push in on it, which you can't tell if that's either the spell or just this thing is a tough son of a bitch.
You said the center of the flower is dry?
Yeah, or it has that just kind of like, you know, that kind of like craggly texture that like plant matter has. Like, have you ever felt the center of a sunflower? It has that kind of like dry, bumpy texture to it.
No, I actually haven't.
Yeah, it's very bumpy and has like nature's corn dog.
Okay. So am I like able? Is it like texturally the same as wildflowers?
You want to run over and like feel up one of the other flowers? And
I do. I want to invade its space. And I want to feel it up.
Yeah, you guys watched as you all set up camp. Zephyr already starting to get impatient. See Lucian kind of run her hands in the water again, and then run to the field of flowers and start feeling. And indeed, while the other one is obviously massive, it texturally feels basically identical.
Okay, so I have two ideas. Guys. Idea number one. We could possibly try to put a little bit of water in this sunflower. Because, like, it's dry, you know? And, like...
I think it's probably getting plenty of water from the fact that there's a waterfall right in front of it.
It's getting plenty of water from the waterfall?
I mean, you don't know. You don't... I will say, Caro, you did see its roots extend to under the river. So... Again, it feels basically identical, as you don't know for sure if it's getting enough water or not, maybe.
Okay, so, like, there's no way to tell if
Zephyr
it's
just
actually...
hit it with water.
Okay.
Yeah, and Zephyr just sprayed it, so...
Okay, so that idea is gone. The second idea I had was, you know, it feels a lot like a flower. So, like, maybe we're supposed to like put something in it, or like, I don't know. It just feels like it shouldn't feel that way because the petals don't feel that way at all. Like, they don't feel like petals. Am I making any sense?
No, but what if
You're just
what if
looking
my
for
brother
ways
goes
to
in?
not have to wait, and you're just going to have to wait.
Couldn't you go in, brother?
What?
Couldn't you go in?
No, there's no way to get in right now.
I mean, but can't you use your the snake lady's armor, whatever you want to call it? Allows you to go through objects.
Ghost? Was it the ghost armor?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
ghost armor. Yeah.
Does it do that?
Yep, you become intangible for 6 seconds, so in theory...
Like, okay, I might have a way to at least get a look inside.
Okay, well, that's a good news.
So Caleb's going to try and use the ghost armor and see if he can go through.
Before Caleb goes, I will do something for Caleb here. Give me 1 second. I will bless Caleb.
With
You
what?
have now a
Called
blessing.
bless. It's a spell called bless. So she's saying.
What does it do?
You bless up to 3 creatures of your choice. So I will bless. Is Phil
up
still
to.
around, or did he go away?
It says up to, so
He
you
went
don't have
away.
to do 3 people.
Oh, it's more just no reason not to. Might as well,
Yeah.
just in case.
I will bless Zephyr. I will bless Caleb, and I will bless Carol.
All right. So the three of you are blessed.
What does it do?
You get a D4 to ability checks and.
Yeah, it's like what you got last time, except now it's affecting more people.
Yeah, it's just,
Okay.
it's just roll attack rolls and saving throws.
Mhm.
If you get
Caleb
into
was going to
combat,
first test it with the waterfall to see if he just goes right through it easily.
Okay.
Because the water was bearing down on him, so he's gonna test it like that real quick.
Mhm. Let me pull up the ghost armor. Real
Didn't
quick.
you make the ghost armor?
Well, no, I just need to pull up its exact stats. All right.
Wait. It cannot be used again until the next dawn.
Basically, yes. You may be stuck there for some time.
How long does it last?
If I recall correctly, I'm pulling it up right now, but if I recall correctly, it's 6 seconds. So a turn.
Okay, so Caleb has 6 seconds to look inside and then back out.
So in theory, you could dash, use that to run in and just make sure you have enough movement speed to get back out.
Okay.
Yep. Phase through walls until the end of your turn, but only once recharging in the morning.
Caleb's not gonna test it because he doesn't have time to do that.
Okay.
He's just gonna go for it and then take a quick look around, then back out.
Okay. You hit the bright red button on your belt. And knowing that you're on the clock, as you went over the design with the designers, so you know the specifics. You all watch as Caleb dives as he had before. This time, Caleb, your vision goes completely dark as you are phasing through something, and as light returns to you, and you almost have to tuck and roll to come to a smooth landing. Looking around very quickly, you find yourself as you turn around. Indeed, you are behind the massive head of one of those flowers, and you can see roots and vines and leaves all around you. At the end of a hallway, you see a set of double doors carved with ruins in a language that you do not speak.
Okay. Is that all Caleb has time to see?
Yeah, you could try running to the end of the hall and kicking open the doors real quick, but the most you could do is do that, get a quick peek at what's on the other side, and then start running back.
If he does that, would he be able to make it back?
You might cut it a little close, but you should be able to.
Caleb is going to just back out.
Okay.
Next thing he wants to do is risk cutting it so close that he's still inside of a wall.
Fair.
Well, yeah, I think you get pushed out, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe that's what was said. Yes.
Yeah,
but still not wanting to. Caleb, you quickly start running back, getting a quick look at your surroundings, and dive. And the suit wears off just as you clear the waterfall, and you become tangible again just in time to land back in the water. But as you clamber back onto the shore, you've got a decent look at the other side. It does indeed appear that the door is being blocked by a massive one of these flowers. That's face, stem and face reaches the waterfall itself, or at least behind it.
Caleb will relay what he saw about it being an actual flower. So I guess it'll be interesting to see what these flowers do without the sun.
I don't think that will work, Zephyr, because
didn't she tell us it was indestructible?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me, because I know that you have a tendency to not hear me, but I said to Carol that there is a magical force around it that increases its durability. So no matter what we do to it, I don't think that it will, I don't think that it would work that way.
Caleb's just gonna look to Zephyr and be like, "You're just going to have to, as the name of the temple suggests, show some restraint and be patient."
We'll see.
If you want, Zephyr, you can take first watch with me, and we can experiment the door together and see if we can open it tonight.
Caleb's gonna be like, "I almost feel like Zephyr shouldn't go in because I think he might get fucked by it."
I feel like that is all of us, Caleb. We all have something that we want.
I think I could probably show the most restraint out of all of us.
I don't know. What about your friend? What if somebody what if it reads your
There are
mind?
several ways that I could know an illusion of him.
But what if like I said earlier, what if you can't help it? What if it makes you think that it is him?
Then it's just going to be a matter of the mind at that point.
Yeah. I think I can do something, but I have to sleep before I do it. But I might be able to help us with that. But I have to sleep first.
Then you should try to get rest instead of taking the first watch.
As you wish.
It's okay, but like Gil, you could take first watch.
Okay.
And I will take the watch with you.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right. As you all begin to actually able to relatively comfortably here, as other than the occasional jungle fern and sunflower, while the plant matter kind of crunches unusually beneath your weight, you are actually able to sleep relatively comfortably here, as there's an actual clearing. And you all begin to settle down for rest. As for now, the party seems to have come to a conclusion on the first of what is likely many challenges waiting for them at the Saurian Temple of Restraint. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session. Sorry, this one ran a little long. I was originally going to call it once you guys got inside, but it took a little longer than I expected. So, with Liv's guidance, having survived the Swamp Stalker attack, the party has managed to make it unscathed through the canyon surrounding Killer's River. A small investigative party of the Death Dozen Dragons disrupting their sleep but bringing them no actual harm, thanks to some quick action by Neon and Gil. And so, as the party battled mosquitoes, jungle heat, and each other, although still overall making progress with one another, able to decently work together and show some concern, or perhaps some restraint, the party has arrived at the temple, and the first challenge appears to just be simply getting inside. But with all of the party's investigative talents coming together, they seem to have come to a possible answer, but they will have to wait and see if that's the case. And I think most of the party suspects there's going to be a lot of waiting in their immediate future. All around you, as the sun begins to set, you all watch curiously, as Caleb had pointed out, that, it's not sure how the flowers that chase the sun will react. And it's actually a very beautiful sight in its own way. As the sun sets and darkness begins to fall, the sunflowers actually visibly begin to straighten themselves back up. And once they're at their full height, the petals close, covering the brown center with the colorful yellowish orange petals, creating this field of tall, almost yellow buds, waiting for the sun to shine on them once more. as the party exercises their restraint to try and get into the temple. That's where we're calling it for now. I totally remember to. If you want to see more of my DMing, check out twitch.tv.
You're just doing all that to buy yourself more time to find the links.
Actually, no, I had it pulled up. I just had to actually get the file in front of me. I did actually have it pulled up this time.
So that extra description wasn't just buying time.
No, I just thought it was pretty. I thought you guys would like a beautiful description of the world I've painstakingly crafted for you.
Yeah.
Which is what you said you already ended it, and then like, oh, DM mode.
Yeah, I occasionally do that. Just a little bit of extra flavor at the very end. Anyways, if you want to see more of my DMing, check out twitch.tv/Graemcrackers, GRAEMECRACKERZ, for my Friday campaign, The Goldshine Investigations, at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time, taking place in the same campaign setting, featuring 2 characters from the same continent as this cast. So that's fun. Check out our website, currently down for maintenance, but will be up again in the future at officiald5hub.info. Check the link that's about to be posted in chat to join our official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us directly. And please support our podcast episodes, post on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and iHeart Podcast Network, wherever you happen to get them from. And for our audio listeners, catch us live on Tuesdays at 9:30 Central Daylight Time at twitch.tv/Odd Tornado Productions, and check out Odd Tornado Productions official on Tumblr to find links to our other works, including our Kobold Rogues Twitch channel at twitch.tv/AustinFreak123. Thanks everyone at home so much for watching. Thanks all of you so much for playing, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.